A boost to Medicare, a lift in welfare payments and an energy discount are at the centre of Labor's second federal budget. Michael Packey reports from Canberra.
Doctors will be offered greater incentives to lift their bulk billing rates as part of a $5.7 billion boost to Medicare. The federal budget contains another $5 billion to lift the job seeker rate. There's extra money for rental assistance, while households and small businesses will be offered an electricity discount and low interest loans to install energy-efficient products. Treasurer Jim Chalmers says the measures strike the right balance.
To give people the support that they need, but try and do it in a targeted and responsible way.
The opposition's Angus Taylor argues the budget does very little to tackle inflation.
They're spending $2 for, roughly speaking, every dollar of revenue.
Taxes will increase for super amounts above $3 million. Gas producers will be hit, and cigarette taxes are also going up.
The Premier has welcomed the federal government's decision to invest $2 billion in hydrogen energy. He's currently overseas visiting Germany and the Netherlands on a trade mission focused on green hydrogen. Donald Trump has been ordered to pay $5 million after being found liable in a civil rape case. US correspondent Jonathan Kersley reports.
The jury of 6 men and 3 women in New York deliberated for just over 2.5 hours before finding Donald Trump liable for both battery and defamation. It did also find Donald Trump sexually abused writer E. Jean Carroll, but did not find he raped her in a department store fitting room in the 1990s. The combined damages awarded to Ms. Carroll is more than $7 million Australian dollars. The former president is also subject of another civil suit and multiple criminal investigations.
His lawyer says Trump will appeal. The state government has ordered a review into how South Australia responded to the COVID pandemic. David Bruce has more.
A key committee will take a thorough look before the end of the year at how COVID decisions were made, but it won't be probing why authorities decided on particular rules. The state of emergency declaration lasted 793 days, and in that time, Nicola Spurrier and Grant Stevens called the shots, with a wide range of measures including lockdowns, quarantine orders, and the compulsory wearing of face masks. South Australia has recorded 1,419 COVID-related deaths from almost 1 million cases. Worldwide, COVID has killed millions and wreaked widespread economic and social chaos.
Telstra is the most complained about mobile service company. That's according to the latest quarterly report by the Telecommunications Industry Ombudsman. Close to 18,000 complaints were made about phone and internet services during the 3 months. Well, the new John Farnham documentary premiered in Melbourne last night. Finding the Voice, focusing on his comeback in the 1980s, will open in cinemas next week. Son Robert giving it the thumbs up.
It's a great project. It was put together really well by the producers and Poppy the director, and to see Dad's story in a movie form is really pretty special.
Now to 5AA Sport.
It's nearly tax time. Act now for immediate delivery on Mitsubishi Triton from Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
And it's a very good morning to Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Mel. Let's start with football, and Port Adelaide forward Junior Ioli will have his case for a striking charge on Essendon's Jordan Ridley heard tonight at the tribunal. That's after it was pushed back because of a huge backlog of cases last night. Assistant coach Chad Corns telling Rowie and Timmy G the club will do everything it can to present their case and minimise the suspension.
I don't know what their defence will be, but I know they'll be doing everything they can to give Junior the best possible result.
Carlton defender Nick Newman has been cleared to take on the Western Bulldogs on Saturday after facing the tribunal himself. Newman had been banned for appearing to elbow Brisbane's Lachie Neale on the chin, but doubt was raised over the height of the hit. Meantime, Melbourne's Jacob Van Rooyen failed to have his 2-game ban for striking Gold Coast defender Charlie Ballard overturned. The Demons are now considering an appeal against the verdict, and Geelong's Bradley Close lost his challenge against a 1-game ban for a dangerous tackle. Let's go to soccer. Manchester City's found an equaliser in its Champions League semi-final tie against Real Madrid. Kevin De Bruyne with a goal in the 67th minute. Scores now locked at 1-1 with about 20 minutes to play. And in some cricket, South Africa has automatically qualified for the men's 50-over Cricket World Cup after a washout between Ireland and Bangladesh. England, meantime, is hopeful fast bowler Jofra Archer will be fit for the Ashes next month, despite suffering a concerning elbow injury. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
See any issue firsthand with AutoCam. Real-time video, direct to you from your AutoMasters technician.
Partly cloudy for your Wednesday. We're heading for a top of 18. Mostly sunny tomorrow, 20. Friday, a shower or two, 19. Right now, it's 8 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Book a test drive of the incredible Chery Motor 5 today. Visit gocherry.com.au.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to 5AA Breakfast on this Wednesday, the 10th of May. It is the day after the federal budget, and we've got you covered this morning. Phil Curry will join us after 7 o'clock from the nation's capital. He was in the lockup for the Australian Financial Review. If you want to speak to Phil, ask him a question. We've got a few. We'll get into that with him after 7 o'clock today. The other thing we like to do on the day after budgets, be they federal or state, is put them to our roundtable. So after 8 o'clock this morning, you're going to hear from our big macroeconomics expert, Dr. Susan Stone, who we often speak to about matters of interest rates and inflation and where it's all going. Ross Womersley from SACOS will be on the program. Rebecca Pickering from the Civil Contractors SA. Business SA will join us. CODA as well, Council on the Ageing. So we'll put it to our roundtable of South Australian interest groups to see how they mark the budget out of 10. Of course, it being a Wednesday morning, Sean Fuster on the show. David Kosh will join us. And also our SMEG rumours for the SMEG appliance. David Pemberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, listeners. Good morning, Will. Plenty to plough through in the budget. A lot of talking points. I think one of the most important guests we're going to have on this morning is the Credit Union Economics Chief from UniSA, Dr. Susan Stone, because many a true word is said in jest, and I think one of the best analyses, one of the best pieces of analysis, let's stick with that sentence structure, of last night's budget comes courtesy of Johannes Leek, son of the late and excellent Bill Leek, cartoonist with The Australian, who on the front page of their newspaper has done a very heavily caricatured, big-eared picture of Jim Chalmers dressed after the style of King Charles, timely, sitting on his throne with a little gold crown on his head that says "My Surplus." Very small crown, my surplus, as befits the tininess of the surplus. But he's holding a time bomb that says inflation. The headline is King of Wishful Thinking. And it feels to me like this is a wishful thinking budget. I reckon there's every chance that the next time the Reserve Bank board meets, they'll convene for about 90 seconds and go, let's put interest rates up again. I think there's so many things in this budget that are inflationary. And I also wonder too whether... And this might sound, because I know there's a lot of things in this budget that are going to help people who are right at the bottom of the economic pile. You know, people who are living on the age pension, looking at today's Tizer, their coverage is great. There's a lady that they've interviewed who is a cake maker in Royal Park. Her annual take-home salary is $38,000. Like, that's not a hell of a lot of money. That's really hard, and she's paying $475 a week rent. So it is fair that so much of the effort is tailored at people at the lower end, because they're the ones who are copying it the most. But equally, people who earn relatively modest money in the middle class, the bottom of the middle, you know, people who are just pulling themselves up enough by the bootstraps. They've bought their house, they've got 2 cars. They might be sending their kids to a local, independent school. They get nothing. They get absolutely bugger all in this budget. And it's sort of like a reverse aspirational budget to me, where if you own a house and you and your partner are both working and you're not lighting cigars at home with rolled up $100 bills, there's nothing in it for you. Yeah. You're not going to get any of the electricity relief. You're going to have to pay more higher gaps if you go to the doctor, because they've now officially created a two-tiered Medicare system
for bulk billing. So you need to be under 16 or on a concession card or a pension or all.
And the other thing too, this might sound callous, because there are some people who can't find work at the moment, but are there so many people out there? Like, I was at this AHA lunch the other day. Every single publican in South Australia was there. You know, the number one problem they've got at the moment, they can't find anyone to work for them.
It's a common thing we hear, isn't it? The police can't, the armed forces can't.
So we give every single one of these people at the moment who reckons they can't find a job a pay rise, do we?
I'm like you on the inflation question, because it just seems it's hard to understand how you can pump billions of dollars into the economy by way of extra support, as needed as it might well be, at a time when the RBA is trying to hoover it out and it not be inflationary. That said, the people that do know much more about this than I do, who make a living out of it, the markets, people who invest in things like bonds and so forth, you look at the yield numbers, you look at the market reaction, there doesn't seem to be any movement on the front that people are expecting this to be and put upward pressure on inflation. So,
but aren't they all the same people who got it wrong last time? I mean, we're the only ones, thanks to Phil, who had that conversation. Why wouldn't he put it up? Inflation's at 7%. It's his job to keep it below 3.
That is true. That is true. But people who do this for a living, they don't see it as inflationary, which runs counter to what I would imagine and understand happens when you pump money into the economy. But
I reckon it's at the point where they don't matter. The only person who matters in this discussion now is Philip Lowe.
Mm.
And this bloke's had the living suitcase kicked out of him for the last 18 months. He's about to leave. I reckon he might go out with a bang.
I think that's without a doubt. Make one hell of a statement about what role he's had to play and what role the federal government's had to play, because they've had little to no interest really in trying to curb inflation, that's for sure. I found the whole thing underwhelming from the sense that, and maybe this is expectation management from the Treasurer's point of view, the bloke was not so long ago writing articles about reimagining capitalism. This was the most old-fashioned traditional Labor budget that anyone's ever handed down.
Oh, it's extraordinary. It's like the subliminal message of it is if your family dares earn more than $108,000, we're coming after you, because you've got to pay extra through your taxes, and by that I include things like Medicare. We already pay a 2-tiered rebate for that anyway. But the message is we're here for the people who are earning less than 108 grand. Combined income of 108 grand.
As I look at the clock, it's 13 minutes after 6. I reckon a large number of people that listen to us at this time of the morning are tradies, small business owners, self-employed people, builders, people like that.
The ones who get up super early to make a quid.
They've all copped a hit with what you can write off as part of a small business, and also you buying a ute or your car. The valuation of that's gone down as well. I wonder how many of those sorts of people we've got listening this morning that are wondering how this is going to affect them, or just trying to work out, make the numbers work.
Yet all the largesse for every single person who reckons they can't get a job at a time when business says across so many industries, we can't find anyone to work.
Unemployment, historic lows. Historic lows.
You know, one part of it that has been criticised as inflationary that I would excise from this criticism. I think the aged care payment, as big as it is on paper, what is it, $11 billion? I actually reckon that's a good thing, because that is long overdue. And that part of it, like, that might be a traditional sort of Labor-style thing, but people working in aged care deserve an immediate leg up financially, because it's such hugely important work. It's been historically undervalued, and I don't think you can fairly criticise that, because particularly with an ageing population, and particularly when you think about all the conversations we've had about Oakden. You know, if you get an unskilled, disgruntled, underpaid workforce at the front line looking after the elderly, you know what that can lead to.
Let us know what you think, folks. We'd love to hear from you this morning. 8223 You can text us on the Duttons text line, of course, as well. And a little bit later in the morning, Phil Curry will join us. Then we'll do our roundtable of experts marking the budget. But we love to hear your marks above all else. And look, how does it affect you, the individual? Tell us, based on what you heard last night. The Dutton's brand new Ram dealership in Murray Bridge. Ram, eat utes for breakfast.
Australia's greatest sporting rivalry is back. The 2023 Ampol State of Origin Series. Kick off your Origin experience the right way at the official pre-game party inside the pavilion at Adelaide Oval on Wednesday, May 31. Mingle with rugby league legends and enjoy 2 hours of food and drinks. This is the perfect way to start your Origin experience. To book, see nrl.com/hospitality or email hospitality@nrl.com.au.
Whether you're a sparky, a chippy, a fiery or a bikey. Whether they call you curly, tubby or tiny. Whether next door means a few feet or a few miles. We know the weather's harsh in South Australia. But Olympic Industries carports, verandas and sheds are tougher than most. And if they're strong enough in the country, they'll be strong enough in the city. Some say strong as an ox, others say hard as nails. We just say built to last. Olympic Industries.
It's time to raise the bar. If you're organising an event, anything from a small meeting to a grand gala, you'll know there are many things to consider. So trust the experts at Adelaide Convention Centre to help you elevate your vision. With the support from our team at every stage, you'll be amazed at what can happen in turning each aspect into an unforgettable experience for both you and your guests. Contact our team and discover the magic to elevate your vision at Adelaide Convention Centre.
Will retirement living suit you? Get a sneak peek of the lifestyle you could enjoy at FIVEAA's free open home events across Adelaide from the 20th to the 27th of May. Come along with family and friends to explore our communities, inspect our display homes, discover our social activities and chat with our friendly team. Take the first step and search FIVEAA Open Home today. You can look forward to a very warm welcome. RSVP is essential and COVID-safe practices apply.
Hurry into Ranella Mazda. We're stocked with CX-5 and CX-9 ready for immediate delivery. No reasonable offer will be refused. CX-5 and CX-9 stock must be cleared. Just 25 minutes from the CBD. Only at Ranella Mazda. LVD 152780.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Test drive the Cherry Emoda 5 at Cherry Glen Osmond from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Go Cherry.
17 minutes after 6. News headlines in a moment. A few Dutton's texts coming through though. Budget related. Some early returns from the 5AA breakfast audience.
Will from Goodwood says, morning guys, tradie here. I've had to downsize my business due to not being able to find staff. The work is there, but deliverance is the issue. Thanks for that, Will. You have to pay more for your yeet too, mate. One here, with a $60 million a day interest bill on nearly $1 trillion debt, how does this budget decrease our debt? We won't know if we have a balanced budget until this time next year. Thanks for that, Graham. And one here, it baffles me how we pay tax and then we're giving money to pay power bills rather than fixing the power problems. The power prices are still going to go up. It is funny, isn't it? Hurtling headlong towards a carbon-free future, and the thing that has got us out of the put so much is coal and iron ore exports, isn't it? That's what's propping up the economy.
Always is.
We're like the reformed abstemious drug addict that goes around telling people you got to get off the gear, and secretly we're dealing it to other people.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, unconscionably. I'm just looking. Because there's a little trick that happens in budgets that allows federal governments. David Koschlok's talking about this. That allows Australian governments to talk about how well they manage the economy, and it's called the baked-in assumption for what the iron ore price will be is, I think, about $80 a tonne, and it's just always been above that recently. So you can always say, well, look how well we've done, but the reality is iron ore is just at, I think it's $107 right now. So it's significantly higher, so the returns in the budget are higher, but everyone knows they're always going to be higher. But it's a nice little accounting trick to make it look like you've done an excellent job when really you've done absolutely nothing.
Good text from Sam. He says, fighting inflation should not be left to the RBA alone. It should be the government's highest priority. Instead, we're aged in our 60s, we still have a mortgage, and we can see retirement being pushed further and further away. There's nothing in the budget for us. Thank you, Sam.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sam. More than 5 million households will receive power bill discounts of up to $500 as part of the federal budget. The proportion of these in South is pretty interesting and possibly alarming too. We're hugely overcatered for when it comes to all the households that are going to, and businesses that are going to get access to this.
It's about 440,000 homes.
That's right. The Treasurer Jim Chalmers says electricity bills will still be more expensive, but by less than originally forecast.
It's a different deal for every state and territory, but the way we're doing it in most instances is we get that amount subtracted from the bill that people get, and so that means the bill they get in the mail would be lower than it would otherwise be.
We'll have more on this story after 7 o'clock, but some breaking news in the last hour. A jury in the US has found Donald Trump liable for sexually abusing advice columnist E. Jean Carroll in 1996. Jurors rejected Carroll's claims that she was raped. She's been awarded $5 million as compensatory damages.
Is that $5 million that has to come out of Donald Trump's own pocket?
That's $5 million from Donald Trump. So there's a portion of that is for defamation, a portion of that is for damages associated with the sexual assault.
She was a New York gossip columnist,
that's
wasn't
correct.
she? Yeah.
That's correct. I misread the trajectory of this trial. I thought this was heading for being tossed out.
I thought it was a total try-on.
Yeah, I didn't think the jury were going to...
And I don't say that on the basis of any judgment about her, but rather the way it was being reported.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it was heading for that. That said, it's a civil trial, so it's not... The tests are different compared to a criminal trial, but that's a big one because Donald Trump's going to have to wear the stigma of that. There's some suggestion in the last few minutes he's going to be appealing, but we'll have more on that for you a little bit later. Coles is set to phase out soft plastic shopping bags nationwide by the end of next month. It'll remove 230 million plastic bags from circulation within the next year. The supermarket will continue selling paper bags and other reusable options.
So, paper bags, all right. What if you got 2 litres of fabric softener and...
They're terrible.
You make it halfway back to the car and there's stuff on the ground everywhere.
I think it's science, instead of coming up with computers that can talk to us, need to come up with better bags.
Yeah.
We're going to aim lower sometimes, science.
We can put a man on the moon. We can't make it out to the boot of the car with a paper bag that holds everything in it.
Come on, CSIRO. According to the latest quarterly report by the Telecommunications Industry Ombudsman, Telstra has now been labelled the most complained about mobile service company. How about that for a moniker? That it came about because of the large outage yesterday. It caused customers to be left without the capability to make or receive calls for up to 12 hours. Some of those 5AA breakfast listeners. In New South Wales, parents and spectators who are violent at children's sporting matches could be hit with lifetime bans. The New South Wales Sports Minister is considering the option in an effort to stop physical attacks against referees and volunteers. This should take 1 nanosecond of consideration, shouldn't it?
I'm amazed it's not already the case.
How is it not the case already?
Physical? I got to say, I've spent years and years hanging around kids' sport and 4 years coaching. I've never seen a parent do anything that stupid.
Yeah, if it's that
not even close. I've seen parents, and I was just, it was hard because as the coach at primary school footy, you feel like shouldn't really be your job to do it. But I remember a couple of times the odd parent get fired up at the ump. You go, come on, ump! Now, that might be the sort of thing that sounds, vaguely acceptable if you're in the outer at the Adelaide Oval or, standing on the terraces there at Unley or Alberton or Panther Park. But if you're doing that at primary school level football in South Australia, you're shouting at someone who's probably doing year 9 and he's getting paid $20 to umpire the game, But there have been instances, though, here in SA and, everywhere where people have actually come to blows. It's crazy.
It is.
It's just bizarre.
I can't imagine anyone would be unhappy with a lifetime ban for someone who physically attacks an umpire. Seriously. 7.6 degrees outside at the moment. It's cool here in Adelaide. 18 the expected top today. There is some good news on the way for the next few days, though. So 20 will be the top tomorrow, mostly sunny. Friday now looks like an outlier, 19 with a little drizzle around the place because beyond that, it looks magnificent. Saturday, 21 and sunny. Sunday, 22 sunny. Monday, 22 and sunny as well before we return to the midweek drizzle. Tuesday and up to a mill of rain is with a top of 20
now,
degrees.
Mate, I hope you've got your act together, knowing you, I'm sure you have, but a very big Mother's Day for you this coming Sunday.
Well, I mean,
Alison on debut.
I had a chat with Rosie last night, and I said, listen, she's not my mother, so I hope you've got something planned, because it's a big one for her.
Well, that's right. It's good that the Ted Road, you're 6 months. Will's already given her the lifters and leaners discussion.
I just said, look, you don't want to stuff this one up, and I wasn't particularly encouraged by her response either.
She hasn't been putting money aside.
No, I didn't. Have you booked lunch or anything?
That's right.
Crickets. Tom Wren's in the 5AA Breakfast Studio. It's nearly tax time. Act now for immediate delivery on Mitsubishi Triton from Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth. Morning to you, Rennie.
Morning, Will. Morning, David. Boys, a few soccer fans, some Champions League action on this morning. Very late in the game between Manchester City and Real Madrid, semi-final time, 1-1 in that game, so we'll have the full-time scores shortly. Looks like the schedule is about to be released by Cricket Australia for the upcoming Test series, or end of the year. We've got the Ashes, of course, over in England, and it looks like we're going to host the West Indies again.
Oh, God. Right.
In January. mid-January. So
who's in charge of scheduling, as they say?
Why can't we get South Africa to come out?
Well, it's
or India.
It's Pakistan and the Windies.
Why, Rennie? Why 2 summers in a row?
I know. It's bizarre. But
Pakistan have been here. They were here. How long ago were they here? It was only about 3 years ago. I think.
It wasn't that long. That was when Dave Warner, I think, made that triple ton.
Oh, that was just dire. That was like watching, a backyard cricket match where you were playing against your younger sister.
How many?
For like 4 hours.
How many tests? 2? 3?
2 for the Windies, I think 3 for Pakistan. So set to be unveiled. But
see, the one good thing about going to it in Adelaide is if you can wangle an invite from a mate, you can just get out the back and just get on the Pims.
Well,
doesn't matter what's going on
for 2 days.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing.
Maybe.
And got to go back to a daytime test. Do you prefer the day or the day-night?
Day, all day.
Yeah,
day. By the length of the straight.
I don't mind the day-night because you can get there after work.
I like the day-night because the last session suddenly feels like a totally different experience. Because I reckon if you go all day, sometimes you get to the last session, depending on how exciting the game is, you get to the last session, it can start getting a bit of a drag, especially if there's an hour to go and no one wants to lose a wicket. And
Yeah.
But suddenly it gets to night time, the ball starts moving around the place, and you feel like it feels like you've turned up to a different event.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah, so look, that will come out fairly soon. And what about just a little bit of local footy before I go? Dave from Alberton, who we love here on AA, sent me through a stat. Norwood 0-5, defending premiers, of course. Last time they were zipping 5 was in the 1950s. So they're not going too well.
Well done, particularly when you consider that earlier this year there was some talk that the gather round match might be their big chance to launch their bid for South Australia's 3rd AFL licence. That's not looking particularly good at the moment. Although the Gold Coast Suns and North Melbourne would love it.
Look, they've got a great coach, Jade Rawlings. I'm sure they'll turn things around, but
they've lost a lot of players.
And they have lost a lot of players.
And
that
had
hurts.
some injury concerns.
Your boy's going okay?
Yeah, this Saturday's going to be massive. This Saturday's going to be massive, I think,
the Crows.
For all the other SANFL clubs to see if like how the Crows, like, can anyone actually match them? Can anyone seriously match the Adelaide Football Club? Because it remains the nightmare scenario, I think, for the SANFL, that the Adelaide Crows win an SANFL premiership.
Oh, yeah, but how many years have they been in it? And they never looked like it.
Yeah.
It's totally
unrealised. It did help that famous Sturt Crows prelim, Nathan Van Berlo's last game. I think the free kick count at 3/4 time was about 42 to 4 Sturt's way. I think John Olsen might have been umpiring that day.
And what about Junior Rioli? Just quickly, how many weeks, boys? 2 or 3 tonight?
I think they're going to say 3. He's gone straight to the tribunal, hasn't he? I don't get it, but that's the world we're living in. Good on you, Rennie.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks, Tom.
It's nearly tax time back now for immediate delivery on Mitsubishi Triton for Agostina, Mitsubishi Nailsworth and Elizabeth. Got a lot of great thoughts on the federal budget coming through. If you've got one, give us a buzz. 8223 0000. We'll look at the Dutton's text line and take some of your calls next.
For nearly 40 years, no one has done certified used cars quite like Steinborner Automotive, with dedicated yards including SA's best range of commercials loaded and ready to go, including SA's only dedicated small car and SUV centre, and SA's only large SUV and 4x4 centre suited for any lifestyle. Steinborner still also has the best range of Commodores, from ZBs to the collectibles. View all late model used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth the trip.
5AA's Tech Talk with your host, Adelaide Tech guy Richard Pascoe. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
Wearable tech is a fantastic way to enhance your health and fitness routine and hold yourself accountable. The Fitbit Versa 3 is one of the most reliable smartwatches in the game. It's packed with health and fitness features like 24/7 heart rate tracking, sleep management tools, and built-in GPS. Plus, you can receive smartphone notifications and control Spotify when your phone is nearby, and it's water resistant up to 50 metres. It's super easy to use, making the perfect Mother's Day gift for health-conscious or tech-savvy mums. And just in time for Mother's Day, Harvey Norman have a great offer on the Fitbit Versa 3. Save $100 off the recommended retail price and get it for an incredible $198 in black, midnight or pink. This fantastic offer ends May the 17th.
Check out this great offer at a Harvey Norman store near you.
Now, well, you know, the background of this story, I was feeling quite relieved the other day because I finally received a text message which shed some light on a recent mystery.
Well, we usually save these for breaking at 8, but I know what this is.
Breaking at 6:30. It involves our good friend James Waller. Now, we hadn't heard from James for a couple of months, and I thought maybe he'd just sort of gone AWOL in the Barossa, vanished
Can happen.
down the cellar door at Rockford or something like that. Well, the good news is we've found him.
We have found him, and I think I know where you're going with this because he's been busy, has our friend James.
Has he ever? I got an email about this yesterday too, with a link to their latest catalogue, and it's awesome. Waller's at Victor Harbour is now open. Now, I've even seen some of the incredible drone footage. It's a beautiful setup, as you'd expect. Sweeping ocean views from the new cafe.
And knowing James, this is how he operates. There'll be some crazy offers in their furniture range as well. I'm sure Rachel's got something cooking in the fragrance section too.
That's right.
Items. They'll sell stuff for under $4.
Yeah, absolutely. You can check it all out in their grand opening catalogue, out now, and it applies across all 4 of their excellent Waller's stores: Mount Barker, Richmond, Tanunda, and now Victor Harbour.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 18 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Looking for the perfect winter exercise? Physio Extra offers clinical Pilates at 6 locations. PhysioExtra.com.
In his second budget, the Federal Treasurer has delivered a surplus of $4.2 billion. But Jim Chalmers says much more work is needed to get the nation's finances back on an even keel. Deficits are forecast over the coming years as economic pressures intensify and the unemployment rate rises. Dr Chalmers says this budget is a good start, but the job isn't done yet.
We're making really good progress on the budget, but nobody here, not Katie or I or anyone in the Cabinet, pretends that it is mission accomplished when it comes to putting the budget on a much more sustainable footing. But the progress that we've made in 2 budgets has been historic.
State Treasurer Stephen Mulligan says there were wins for SA in the economic blueprint.
There's more money for the AUKUS commitments. That will mean that we can start training young South Australians to take their part in building Australia's first nuclear submarines.
A New York jury has found Donald Trump sexually abused writer E. Jean Carroll in a department store fitting room in the 1990s, but he did not rape her. Trump has been ordered to pay $5 million US. His lawyer says they'll appeal. Former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer has told Sky News the outcome could have been worse.
Optics do matter in politics, but I think if you're President Trump right now, you're probably resting easy when it came to the charge of rape would have stung a lot.
Protests have erupted in Pakistani cities following the arrest of former Prime Minister Imran Khan in connection with a corruption case. Police using water guns and tear gas on his supporters. There are fears his arrest may cause further unrest in the country. In a video message, Mr. Khan says he's ready for what's to come.
If someone has warrants to arrest me, then come to me with warrants. My lawyers will be there. I am ready to go to jail myself. Making a scene would be wasting resources, as if the country's big criminal was coming.
Coles will stop selling plastic bags at the checkout. The supermarket giant says the move will phase out 230 million plastic bags from circulation within a year. Paper bags will still be available. Consumer complaints about internet services have increased in the first quarter of the year. They're 8.5% higher than in late 2022. Telecommunications Industry Ombudsman Cynthia Gabert says complaints about the NBN have jumped 13%.
Some substantial increases about getting connected to an NBN service, problems with the bill, and service quality issues such as dropouts and slow data speeds.
And Beetlejuice is getting a sequel. Michael Keaton will be back for Beetlejuice 2. The original movie was released in 1988. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
It's nearly tax time. Act now for immediate delivery on Mitsubishi Triton from Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
It's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Let's start with footy. Melbourne is considering an appeal against the tribunal's decision to uphold Jacob van Rooyen's 2-match ban for striking Gold Coast defender Charlie Ballard. The tribunal found a reasonable player would have seen that in spoiling the ball in the way he did would almost inevitably have resulted in a forceful blow to Ballard's head. Geelong's Brad Close also failed to overturn his ban for a dangerous tackle, while Carlton's Nick Newman was cleared over a striking charge on Brisbane's Lachie Neale. It took almost 6 hours to get through the 3 hearings last night, with the striking charge on Port Adelaide's Junior Rioli to be heard tonight. To soccer now, Manchester City's played out a 1-1 draw against Real Madrid in the opening leg of their semi-final tie in the Champions League. City found themselves a goal down at half-time after a stunning opener from the home side, but the visitors hit back with a cracker of their own.
De Bruyne strike! Oh, that's wonderful! He got all of that! Kevin De Bruyne!
Great goal, audio thanks to Stan Sport. The return leg will be played in Manchester next week. And the LA Lakers are just 1 win away from moving into the Western Conference Finals after a 104-101 point win against the Golden State Warriors. The King, LeBron James, led the way with 27 points as his side took a 3-1 series lead in the best-of-7 series. The Miami Heat also now lead 3-1 in their series against the New York Knicks. That's after winning Game 4, 109-101. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
See any issue firsthand with AutoCam. Real-time video, direct to you from your Automaster's technician.
18 today and partly cloudy, mostly sunny tomorrow 20, Friday a shower or two and 19. Right now it's 8 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Book a test drive of the incredible Cherry Motor 5 today. Visit gocherry.com.au.
24 minutes to 7, police and weather are coming up in just a moment. A little bit later in the morning, our budget roundtable. A lot of the key stakeholders and advocacy groups in South Australia will join us. We'll get them to rate the budget. It's always a very illuminating segment we've started doing the last couple of years after federal and state budgets. Sean Fust will join us to go around the courts, and after 7 o'clock, Phil Curry in Canberra, who was in the lockup. Sue and Paralawi's called in with her thoughts. Morning to you, Sue.
Morning, boys. Love your show.
Thank you, Sue.
I'm a worker, 38 hours a week plus. Take home for $49,000 a year. Mortgage gone up from $600 a fortnight to $1,000 a fortnight. Left with $100 a fortnight to live on. I got nothing out of the budget.
Geez, when you put it like that, Sue, the increase in your mortgage, it's like some giant sort of monster that's just chewed up your entire budget. How do you get by on $100 a fortnight?
Well, I've got no choice. No choice. I do have a daughter that helps me out fantastically, but you've got your mortgage, you've got house insurance, car insurance, gas, electricity, all of them. I got nothing, and my argument is if they're given $500 for electricity, are they going to give it to them or are they going to take it off their bill? Because they're just going to waste it.
Yeah, well, I think it's just coming off the bill.
It will be taken off the bill, so you'll still, as Jim Chalmers said yesterday, electricity prices aren't coming down.
No, it's sort of it's artificial.
You're going to get your $500 back.
So, that's what the picture Sue painted is, I think, is an important one. But also, we associate interest rates going up and your mortgage repayments increasing because of inflation. But in addition to that, everything you're buying in life, from vegetables, so we had the snow pea index for a while there,
$9.50 they were.
So that $100
we were talking the other day
doesn't go as far either. Because everything you're buying is more expensive at the same time.
I think it's changed people's shopping habits. Where
completely,
you used to go to the shops and you would always buy the same things you needed. Whereas now, we were talking the other day. I think it was blueberries. One of the callers rang in about. They saw blueberries were suddenly $10 a punnet, and 2 years ago, I mean they weren't $10 a punnet. They weren't even close to $10 a punnet, even when they were out of season. But you just sort of automatically buy certain things for your kids' lunches or for your own meals, whereas now I think everyone has got to the point where it's like, well, what can I buy and what should I try not to buy?
Yeah. Scott and Glenunga's called in as well. Scott, good morning to you.
Good morning, boys. Working in the disability advocacy space, there's just a couple of things I'd like to touch on that I was disappointed on. Job Seeker is going up $40 a fortnight, slightly higher for people 55 plus. But a lot of people think there's a lot of dole bludgers on Job Seeker, but there's also heaps of people, and there'd be a few of those, but there's heaps of people on Job Seeker that should be on disability pension, but they can't get on it, right? So there's no increase for DSP. I know it's been reported in the media there is. Under 21 there is, it's $40 a fortnight, but $40 a fortnight is $2.80 a day. So if you can't live on $49.50 a day, which is what the dollar is at the moment, how can you live on $52.90 or what? You know what I mean? Like, and for people on youth allowance, their payment a day at the moment is currently $40 a day, so it's $10 less than job seeker, and that'll be going up $2.80, and then rent assistance is going up $15 a week, which is $2 a day. Do they realise how much rents have gone up in the last couple of years?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet they're keeping stage 3 tax cuts that, you know, for the rich, and I've got no problems blowing billions of my taxpayer dollars on subs, but I don't think they need to spend as much as they are. Like, there's a cost of living crisis, and these changes don't come into effect for another 4.5 months until the middle of September. And in relation to the electricity, prices have gone up because of government policy more than what they're going to rebate.
Yeah, very true.
It's crazy.
Yeah, good on you, Scott. Thank you for calling in. We appreciate everyone's thoughts and perspectives from however you see the budget. Do give us a call, 8223 0000, or text us on the Dutton's text line. There's a heap of those coming through too.
Peter agreed with Scott from Galanga's point about the stage 3 tax cuts. He said the handouts to the poor are about $14 billion in forward estimates. The stage 3 tax cuts, $69 billion. How can we afford that inflationary effect?
Well, if you just look at market forecasting, and again, David, you've been quick to point out how bad the forecasting has been, but if we use it as a guide for a moment, by the time those stage 3 tax cuts come in, the expectation is central banks around the world will be cutting hard and fast because economies will have cratered and inflation will be back under control. So they're 24, 25, I think those ones come in. And last night, the forecasting I was reading about out of the United States certainly is the Reserve Bank starting to reduce interest rates there by the end of this year, and by the latter part of 2024, they're down significantly because there's been a huge period of consecutive interest rate cuts.
Yeah, and Peter began his text saying, guys, get a bit of perspective. Well, I actually think the perspective for the stage 3 tax cuts is that the people who are going to get them are paying at a staggeringly higher rate through their taxes to prop up everything. So it's actually like a modest refund as opposed to some sort of, extravagant handout in return for no prior generosity from those people.
Would you put it in the global perspective like we did with Taylor Gooch the other day?
Yeah.
What you pay having won a golf tournament in Australia compared to a place like Singapore, Singapore doesn't live with a small government.
No.
It's quite staggering.
And as Taylor Gooch, the golfer, said, he's not crying poor. He just won $4 million.
No,
but
that's right.
He was also somewhat stunned that 47% of it had to disappear in a jiffy. Getting a few texts too about plastic bags, with Coles saying they're going to phase them out. Greg makes a good point. I started work at the brand new Coles New World. Remember what it was called, Coles New World? In Allenby Gardens in 1964. Back in those days, plastic shopping bags were unknown. All groceries were packed in either paper bags or empty cartons. We didn't have too much trouble with bags breaking, and we did car service for the old nanas as well.
Maybe that's the secret. Bit of good old-fashioned service.
Yeah, I must admit, when I go to Manny's Fruit and Veg, which I do every week or a couple of weeks, I load up. I always get a banana box because they're so sturdy.
They're great.
Yeah, and I use them around the house. I use them for weeding. Like, they're great because you just chuck all your green waste into them, and then I'll leave them for a few days, and they get so soft. You can squish them up into a ball and stick them in the green bin.
They should put those at the counter at Coles.
Banana boxes are excellent.
I think you've solved the problem.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to do any more texts, or should we...
Another one here about paper bags, one listener says, I bought one yesterday at Coles. I thought it was a better option than buying a plastic one. But it was 25 cents. What about that? 25 cents for a paper bag. And Trev on the text line, Dutton's text line says, morning boys, on the budget it reminds me of the great Kerry Packer's take on the tax system and the incompetent use of our money by politicians and the bureaucracy.
A lot of great data up on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream. Brooklyn Munn is the best in the business, so every time we talk budget there'll be all sorts of facts, figures, bits and pieces. If you missed it, well worth tuning into the Foodland Supermarkets live stream this morning. And as we discuss it, and as you discuss it, may be the case, you call in or text in, there'll be all sorts of data on the screen that can get you across everything that has taken place, so it's well worth checking out. I don't want to put you in a bad mood instantly, David, this morning, but I feel I have to. Wendy's, the burger chain out of the United States, is moving to Australia.
We don't cut corners, is their slogan.
I sense you're looking forward to it.
I'm really excited about it.
Okay,
I love Wendy's burgers.
I'm about to ruin it for you. Because I think based on an article in the Wall Street Journal overnight, the Wendy's burger chain will likely become the very first fast food outlet in the world that hands over service at drive-thrus to artificial intelligence.
So it's going to be fully automated. You need the app.
I'm drawing this inference on the basis of a story that's what's happening to the US operations.
So this is the people in window number 1.
That's right.
They're gone, aren't
Would
they?
you like fries with that? Yeah, you're right. Window number 1, the little talky, speaky box.
It'll be like paying at a car park now, where you just get your credit card out and just put it on the reader.
That's correct. So what Wendy's have worked with Google for the last couple of years behind the scenes on a chatbot that'll be rolled out in their Columbus, Ohio Wendy's. So it's the first one. The idea being, according to Wendy's, to streamline the ordering process and prevent long lines in the drive-thru from deterring customers. They say it'll be entirely conversational. It's required a great leap forward in technology that they've been behind. This is probably another investment arm for them. But it'll be spoken word. You won't be typing anything. You'll be talking to it. It has to cut through the noise in the car, kids, the radio playing in the background, and so on and so forth. But they believe it can work, so much so it's going to be trialled in their one restaurant. And if it works there, I imagine it'll be in all of their United States restaurants. And if that's the case, their plan to open hundreds here in Australia in the next year or two, you can't imagine it would be far away.
Wow. We were talking off air the other day, Will and I, about when you read articles, you hear headlines about the people who've been working on artificial intelligence predicting fearfully that it will actually end life as we know it. Maybe this is the way it will happen. The Wendy's chatbot will become so
sentient.
Smart. It'll become sentient. It'll become so smart that it will realise that there's other people selling food. So say there's the first Wendy's opens on North East Road. So it's in Campbelltown or Paynham Road, and it'll go. There's other rival businesses in the area selling food, and it will somehow, because it could be smart enough to reprogram itself, so its role will shift beyond just simply taking people's money and registering their orders to how can it target and shut down other businesses.
Well, you're suggesting it might sort of hack into the Australian nuclear submarines program and launch a tactical strike on McDonald's or something.
Mercato, yeah.
That's right, okay.
Yeah, so there's someone selling excellent Italian spinach pizza up the road there. We've got to stop them. And then, eventually we'll just die from malnutrition because all we eat are Wendy's burgers.
It's simultaneously sillier and scarier than Skynet. I thought you've just come up with.
Well, it'd be like RoboCop, the original RoboCop, where the only business left in the world was Taco Bell. Remember that?
12 minutes to 7. Let's check traffic and come back with police and weather in just a moment. For your chance to win a $4 million grand prize, visit homelottery.com.au.
Thanks, Will, and good morning. Roads looking really good if you're up early about to jump in the car and head to work today. Do have some works to look out for. You find them at Waterloo Corner, got a lane closed there. It's on the north-south motorway near Port Wakefield Road ramp, smooth at 40. Slow for works at Ridgehaven, North East Road near Tolley Road, and also sluggish at Theberton this morning, Port Road near Phillips Street. Cameras, Hub Drive, Aberfoyle Park and Osmond Terrace at Norwood. This May, Bob Jane T-Marts have great buy 3 get 1 free plus instant cashback deals with 15 stores located in Adelaide. They'll look after you. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hey Rick, it's Chris from Automasters. Just thought I'd give you a quick rundown on some of the things on the car.
Now you can see what we see.
Just want to show you 2 little things on the CX-5.
AutoCam.
So this is the air filter out of your car.
Real-time video sent direct to you from your Automasters technician.
It's not actually the wheel bearing. What it is, the handbrake's integrated into the calipers.
See any issue firsthand. How good. Real-time reporting with instant SMS approval. Call 1300 Automasters. Great service guaranteed.
Always expect the best from Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of designer appliances, which means right now you'll save up to 15% on Falcon upright cookers, plus receive a special 10-year warranty for this month only. Also this month, Miele are offering a 10-year warranty. That's a 10-year warranty on Miele this month only. We can also arrange delivery, installation and removal of your old appliance. Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of designer appliances, Paynham Road, St Peters. T's and C's apply.
Mother's Day is this Sunday, so make sure you call into Cheapers Chips for these mother-loving deals.
Mother-loving deals, that's what it's all about at Cheapers Chips. Now, it's perfect slow cooker weather. So pick up a Mesure 6-litre slow cooker, just $49. Wow, that's good. or a Majua 5-litre air fryer, incredible value, $89.
How about a Glow 70cm wok-style fire pit in rust or black, your choice, $79 each.
Wok and roll. Turn up the heat indoors with a ceramic tower heater. $79. That's $10 off.
Oh, there's a budget buster.
Oh, yeah.
Mum might love a couple of coral fleece throw rugs, assorted colours, 2 for $15. Or maybe a Himalayan salt lamp. Who could live without a Himalayan salt lamp? $25. You save $10 off that. They're giving them away. Plus assorted women's 100ml fragrances, only $4.99.
Deck your whole house out here. You got the air fryer going in one corner, the Himalayan salt lamp. You got the ceramic tower heater.
That's living.
That's it. It is living. Remember, you could also win Mum a $1,000 Cheapest Chips prize pack. That'll go a mile at Cheapest Chips. Just go to their website, cheapestchips.com, or Facebook to enter. Some T's and C's apply.
Make Mum's Day with mother-loving deals at Cheapest Chips.
AutoCam.
So this is the air filter out of your car.
Real-time video sent direct to you from your Automasters technician.
It's not actually the wheel bearing. What it is, the handbrake.
AutoCam. Real-time reporting with instant SMS approval. Call 1300 Automasters.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Test drive the Cherry Emoda 5 at Cherry Glen Osmond from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Go Cherry.
9 to 7. Let's check in with the Weather Bureau about the days ahead. John Fisher is on duty this morning. And John, looks like we're heading for some actually pretty nice weather.
Yeah, g'day guys. Look, certainly compared to the last few days, things are improving. Today, looking at 18 degrees, so similar temperatures to yesterday, but should see a little bit more sun around. So currently we are in a bit of a clear patch. Should be a nice sunrise and then a bit of cloud on and off through the day, but fairly light winds and remaining dry, so not too bad conditions. And then moving into Thursday, they're even better, so up to 20 degrees and mostly sunny, so winds shifting northerly tomorrow. Good day on the way, and then the next change coming through early Friday morning, but really it's more just a wind change here, maybe 1 or 2 light showers in the city, but still 19 degrees, not too bad. And then for the weekend, looking at low 20s temperatures, fairly light winds from the north, so it looks great for Mother's Day.
Beautiful stuff. Thanks
Good
for
to
that,
hear.
John.
Thank you, John. Head to Sopol now. Senior Constable Rebecca Stokes is on the line. Rebecca, a stolen motorcycle has been returned to an owner last night in Elizabeth Vale.
Yes, the motorcycle took off from a patrol just before 10 p.m. at Elizabeth Vale. It was seen to go into the rear yard of a house, and the red and white Yamaha motorcycle was displaying a homemade registration plate that didn't match the bike. But a check of the bike's VIN revealed it had been stolen from the curb outside a Whites Road Paralawi home the night before on Monday night. And a 28-year-old Elizabeth Vale man was arrested and charged with illegal use and riding while disqualified, and he'll face court in June. And the good news is that we're able to contact the owner of the motorcycle, who was able to come and collect her bike, so that's been reunited.
Also, Rebecca, a drink driver has been caught overnight in the northern suburbs.
Yeah, police were travelling along at Main North Road, Elizabeth East, about 12:30am this morning when they spotted a Toyota sedan driving very slowly down the middle of the 2 lanes. And as the car turned onto Midway Road, the driver actually threw a wine bottle out the window and into the next lane of traffic. And police attempted to stop the car, but the driver continued on for another kilometre before pulling into the driveway of a nearby home. And when officers spoke to the driver, he appeared intoxicated, but then refused to submit to a roadside breath test. And the 35-year-old Elizabeth East man has been reported for failing to stop for police, refusing a breath analysis, driving under the influence and littering, and he was issued with a 12-month instant loss of licence, and his car's been impounded for 28 days, and he'll also face court at a later date.
Good on you for pinging him for littering too. Chucking
Yeah, I
the
like
wine
that
bottle
one
out of
too.
the car. Yeah, just a bit of a cherry on top there. Throw the book at him. Why not? What a half-wit. Good on you, Rebecca. Well done.
Thanks so much.
This Senior Constable Rebecca Stokes from Sopol there.
Whole empty wine bottle out the window. Woo.
Good.
Finish that one.
Good police work. It's 6 minutes to 7. If you've ever wanted to be considered a citizen scientist or participated in major research projects that are going on here in South Australia, well, there's an opportunity for you. Australia's leading science publication, Cosmos, has teamed up with the Australian Citizen Science Association to host a briefing that's going to take place tomorrow night with more information about how you can help out on a whole heap of really interesting science and research projects. Ian Mannix is the editor of digital news at Cosmos. Ian, good morning to you. What kind of things could South Australians be working on?
Yeah, good morning, boys. Before I answer that question, I'm wondering if Rebecca's looking for what was lost or missing in last night's budget.
Maybe.
They might be out there on the road looking for, more than bottles of wine being thrown out of people's windows.
Quite possibly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Look, it's a really good opportunity. Cosmos is based in the old Science Exchange, the old Stock Exchange building here in Adelaide, and we're trying to recruit science lovers for the Citizen Science Association South Australian branch to work on things like koala monitoring on Kangaroo Island, shark egg collecting, observing the reefs off, around Adelaide all the way down to Victor Harbour, see what's down there, what's happening to the reef habitat, urban animal spotting, how many, magpies have we got, how many blue tongues are staying in our communities, what are the trees and what's the flora and fauna doing. And the scientists really need help with as many people getting involved in science in this way as they can. It's a great way for people to get involved in their community, understand a bit more about their habitat, meet people. It's always a lot of fun, like-minded people. It's free. It's great for grandparents with their grandkids and things like that. So I'd really encourage people to become citizen science. If you want to know about becoming a citizen scientist, that's where our briefing comes in tomorrow night at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, so it's 6 to 7:30 tomorrow night at Exchange Place at the Royal Institution of Australia. That's where you're based, where Cosmos is based in Exchange Place, Adelaide. And this sounds like a really cool thing. I reckon a lot of retirees would probably get into it. I reckon a lot of kids would get into it too, though. Is it something that kids can do?
Yeah, that's right. We did a feature on citizen science looking for penguins down on at Victor Harbour. There used to be 400 penguins there a few years ago. Now there's 24. You can get to put your hand down a penguin burrow and do it safely and do it carefully and contribute to science. You can look for koalas with babies in their, on their backs, and you can get involved in looking for, if you're a diver, for example, get out to the reef beds and find out what's out there, and come back and really contribute to your community. If it's a granddad, grandmum with their grandkids, you're being monitored by scientists. You get so much extra information about the environment you're living in. So these are really good ways to do things. It's free. You don't need any special equipment. Just a little bit of enthusiasm, and you're helping the science community and you're helping South Australia's environment.
Wow. Now, can you help me out here? Shark eggs. I'm never sure if this was an urban myth or not, but you see those sort of waxy brown cylinders that wash up on the shore sometimes. They almost look like pine cones. They are shark eggs, aren't they?
They are shark eggs. That's the end result of them. There's no sharks in them. You can absolutely pick them up. You're not going to get bitten.
Yeah.
But yeah, by counting the number of shark eggs, you know how vigorous the community of sharks is in and around the coast, how they're breeding, and by counting those, whether there's a habitat loss or a shark loss. It's good for
They're
our
reasonably common too,
community.
aren't they? You see them down Aldinga a fair bit. We find them down there quite a bit.
Oh yeah, look, they get washed up all the time. The other one that I came across this week was how important seaweed beds are off the Adelaide coastline. It's not just a desert out there. That's where sharks breed. That's where fish breed. And we're losing that
habitat.
habitat.
Squid hide too.
Yeah, that's right. Plenty of whiting and snapper out there. So yeah, let's have a look at our environment by becoming a citizen science.
What a wonderful initiative. If you'd like more information, the event will be held at the Science Exchange, which is 55 Exchange Place here in the city, 7:30 p.m. on Thursday night. You can the free tickets can be secured by calling 71208629 or contacting K Lambert at rioz.org.au. If you want more information, Lucy and Sam will have it for you, so you can call up. Ian Maddox, thank you.
Yeah.
Love that idea. Great. Editor of the digital news at Cosmos. 2 minutes to 7, 5AA News is coming up. Phil Curry to talk federal budget coming up next.
Whether you're a sparky, a chippy, a fiery or a bikey, whether they call you curly, tubby or tiny, whether next door means a few feet or a few miles, we know the weather's harsh in South Australia. But Olympic Industries carports, verandas and sheds are tougher than most. And if they're strong enough in the country, they'll be strong enough in the city. Some say strong as an ox, others say hard as nails. We just say built to last. Olympic Industries.
Gentlemen, is the urge to pee all the time getting in the way of your everyday life? Caruso's Pee Less to the rescue. Caruso's Pee Less is a unique herbal formula that relieves urinary frequency and helps support healthy bladder and prostate function. So, if you'd like to pee less, try Caruso's Pee Less today. Caruso's Pee Less is made in Australia and comes with a money-back guarantee. Available from leading pharmacies and health stores. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
You know what's become a huge deal at Mawson Lakes Mazda? Our end of financial year deals. Want to know a secret? We can give you amazing prices right now. Yep, Mawson Lakes Mazda is clearing new and demo stock at prices you'll normally get in June. And they're available for immediate delivery. Don't wait. Get in before the end of financial year rush. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 18 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Physio Extra has Mother's Day sorted. 5 Pilates classes plus socks, all for $120. PhysioExtra.com.
The opposition says middle-income Australians are MIA in the federal budget. The coalition argues the government has not done enough to tackle inflation. Labor has announced more than $20 billion in various spending measures, including job seeker and energy discounts. Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor says it's a dangerous approach.
The truth is, for a typical Australian family with 3 kids, they're going to be facing costs, and already facing extra costs of $25,000 a year, mortgage costs, increased energy costs, costs of everything they buy. And that's what inflation does. It makes us all worse off.
State Treasurer Stephen Mulligan has welcomed the funding boost to Medicare.
South Australians have really struggled to get an appointment to see their GP in recent times, and last night's federal budget triples the bulk billing incentive. That'll make it far easier for GPs to bulk bill South Australian patients, and that's welcome news for those people who have been struggling to get in to see their GP.
Donald Trump has been found guilty of sexually abusing writer E. Jean Carroll in a department store fitting room in the 1990s, but a jury found he did not rape her. Trump has been ordered to pay $5 million. He's labelled the verdict a disgrace, claiming he has no idea who the woman is, and his lawyers are talking about an appeal. The BBC's Nada Tawfik is in New York. She says a major question now will be how his supporters act.
They do subscribe to his notion that this is all a witch hunt. Of course, now we have heard from the jury, and they certainly don't think that is the case. So that will be something that Donald Trump is going to have to contend with now while he tries to remain the front runner for Republicans. And we'll just have to see how other Republicans who are quite frankly afraid of insulting Donald Trump's base, how they work around this.
The man who kidnapped a 4-year-old from a campsite in Western Australia in 2021 is appealing his sentence. Terence Kelly has been jailed for 13 years for snatching Cleo Smith and holding her captive for 18 days. His lawyers will argue the judge gave too much weight to the role his drug use played in the crime and didn't properly consider Kelly's childhood trauma. Mobiles are continuing to spark the most complaints to the telecommunications industry ombudsman. Close to 18,000 were made about phone and internet services in the first quarter of the year. Ombudsman Cynthia Gabert says more and more people are making complaints related to financial hardship.
Positively at this stage, we're only seeing low numbers that relate to financial hardship, but they are gradually increasing, and we've had 3 consecutive quarters of increases in financial hardship complaints.
And Robert De Niro is a dad again. The 79-year-old actor has welcomed a new baby, his 7th child. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
It's nearly tax time. Act now for immediate delivery on Mitsubishi Triton from Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Port Adelaide forward Junior Rioli will finally head to the tribunal tonight for a charge of striking Essendon defender Jordan Ridley after his case was pushed back because of a busy schedule. It's expected he'll receive 2 to 3 weeks for the incident. Meantime, the Power is bracing for a hostile reception for midfielder Jason Horne-Francis when he fronts his old team in Tasmania on Saturday. Assistant coach Chad Corns telling Rowie and Timmy G the players and coaches will address the situation in the build-up.
If we don't sit down as a playing group, I'm sure Kari will sit down, Josh Carr with the mids and talk about what might happen, how we respond if that does happen. Yeah, no doubt the crowd will be giving him a bit, as will the North Melbourne players. We expected, and we'll have plans in place to make sure we support Jace the best way we can.
Let's go to soccer, and Manchester City has played out a 1-1 draw in the opening leg of their Champions League semi-final tie against Real Madrid in Spain. The return leg will be played next week. AC Milan will take on Inter in the other semi-final tomorrow morning, our time. Well, the first one-day international between Ireland and Bangladesh in Essex has been washed out. The no result means South Africa have sealed the 8th and final automatic qualification spot for the 2023 World Cup. Briefly elsewhere, wins for the LA Lakers and Miami Heat in the NBA playoffs as they both take command of their respective series. And Aussie surfers Jackson Baker, Connor O'Leary, Ryan Callanan and Morgan Chibelich are all into the second round. That's of a challenger event on the Gold Coast as they fight to earn back their places on the championship tour. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Worried about cheap insurance? Who offers great value cover you won't regret? Amy does. Before buying insurance issued by Amy, read the PDS and TMD at amy.com.au and consider whether it's right for you.
G'day there. Roads are looking really good for the driving this morning. No hassles, which is excellent for about jumping the car. Do have some works to look out for. You'll find them at Richhaven this morning, North East Road near Tolley Road. Got a lane out of action at Hilton, so Donald Bradman Drive near Pearson Street. Speeds at 25, and we are sluggish right now at Theberton, Port Road near Phillip Street. Look out for cameras at Grant Road, Ranella, and Happy Valley Drive at Happy Valley. Get into Beaumont's only clearance centre at Richmond now for $8 $99 taras and awesome toilets from $350. Beaumont's Richmond only. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
See any issue firsthand with AutoCam. Real-time video, direct to you from your Automaster's technician.
A partly cloudy Wednesday on the way with a top of 18, mostly sunny tomorrow 20, Friday a shower or two 19, Saturday 21. Right now it's 9 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Always expect the best from Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of designer appliances, which means right now you'll save up to 15% on Falcon upright cookers, plus receive a special 10-year warranty for this month only. Also this month, Miele are offering a 10-year warranty. That's a 10-year warranty on Miele this month only. We can also arrange delivery, installation and removal of your old appliance. Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of designer appliances, Paynham Road, St Peters. T's and C's apply.
It isn't waste until you waste it. That's the catch cry from an amazing company called Eco Waste Solutions. Eco Waste Solutions is a hard waste recycling facility, not a dump, located at Williston. They'll take everything except hazardous waste and food scraps. They'll take your waste bricks, your mattresses, tyres, soil, timber, steel, concrete and more. Plus, if you pre-sort your load, you receive a 50% discount on disposal fees. Google Eco Waste Solutions Williston for more.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Breakfast.
Contributions have come via the open line 822 300 indeed the Duttons text line with the brand new Ram dealership opening in Murray Bridge. Ram eat utes for breakfast. Utes very much a subject of conversation coming out of the budget last night as well. We're going to jump at all that with Phil Curry in just a few moments' time. Also coming up this hour on the program, we go round the courts with Sean Fuster. We had him on yesterday for Breaking 8 when the news broke about Dominic Perry. We'll talk to him about a whole host of things going on through the courts at the moment. And then before 8 o'clock, we open up the rumour file and we've got the Smeg appliance to give away.
Oh, yes.
Doug in Blakeview's called into the program. Morning to you, Doug.
Yeah, good day, guys. I heard your conversation just before the news about the Wendy's with their AI. It's a little bit disappointing. When I'm in my 40s now. When I was a teenager, I worked at Bilo, stacking shelves and sitting up and checkout, and had friends that worked at Hungry Jack's and McDonald's. I've got a 9 and an 11-year-old, and it's really hard to see him having a teenage job in like 6-7 years' time. I don't know what the kids are going to do as an after-school job with all this artificial intelligence taking over the world.
Yeah, it's a good point, Doug. You worked at Bilo. My sister worked at Bilo down opposite the old Golden Wishbone there on Marion Road. I was a Bowser boy at Esso. filling up people's cars. A lot of the things that were jobs do not exist anymore.
That said, I was looking at this last night. There was some interesting data that came out about, in the last 20 years of automation, the trend line of employment in Australia has only gone down. Unemployment, should I say. Unemployment is lower now than it was in 2005.
There's other jobs elsewhere.
Woolworths employ more people now than before they started automating because of things like that we don't typically think about. Because of things like their warehouses that they use to do things like click and collect. Those jobs didn't exist 20 years ago.
Packing the bags, which computers can probably never do that, can they?
Computers, well, not yet. But I think as everyone rightly sees this, we talk at great length about the jobs that do disappear, and that affects real people, and we should never forget that. But if you look in the big picture, more people employed now, and that's not just a post-COVID sort of quirk of the data. The trend line since 2005 to now has been unemployment's been getting lower.
What was your first part-time job?
I worked at a Foodland, and then I
was a checkout person.
No, it was a
night fill,
shelf stocker.
So you do nights, go in there?
No, it was during the day.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Never did that.
But it's interesting. It's interesting. Some things disappear, but there's just not evidence that the jobs have disappeared. Cheryl, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, thanks, Cheryl.
That's good. Everyone's ranting and raving about all the positives that the government's given, but everyone's failed to mention the increase in road uses for all the truckies out there.
Yeah.
For the next 3 years, because that's just going to cost, or the cost of living is just going to increase even further.
So what does it look like?
To carry the nation.
What does it look like for truckies, Cheryl? Put us in the picture.
Well, at the end of the day, if they're going to get charged to use the roads more, well, that cost is going to be passed on to everyone else in the way of fuel, food, electricity, everything.
Yeah, no, good point. Good point. Thanks for calling, Cheryl.
Appreciate it, Cheryl. We had great contributions. And the thing I like about post-budget day, when people get into it, is hearing from individuals who are directly affected by one or two measures. Because we talk about the big picture, we talk about the surplus, we talk about inflation, we talk about huge big-ticket items like energy bill concessions. But it's interesting hearing from people who go, you know what, I need to buy ute from a small business, or I can't employ people, and so I've had to downsize, or, you know, we're a trucking family and those costs are going to crush us. So if it's a minutiae item that affects you, we'd love to hear about it. It's great to hear from people in South Australia about how the budget affects them the morning after. 8223 0000 is our number. For now, though, we do want to get back into some of those big ticket items with the man who's in the lockup, Phil Curry from the Australian Financial Review. Morning to you, Phil.
Yeah, morning, fellas.
Well, Phil, politics in this country right now and economics in this country right now, it almost feels like a footy match where you've got the government doing one thing, the Reserve Bank Board doing something else. Now, you made the big and accurate call only the other day that Philip Lowe would put rates up. What do you think the Reserve Bank will do when they're sitting there today wading through this document?
I think they'll run the fine comb over it, Dave, to see if it actually is inflationary or not. And it depends who you listen to after yesterday. I mean, the government really did try and walk the fine line in the middle here. They had to give some assistance, but you couldn't do nothing, given the hardship a lot of people are enduring. But at the same time, they couldn't just go gangbusters and make the situation worse. If they'd spent too much, they would have made inflation worse and made the RBA move again. They're saying that this is not inflationary, this budget. The Treasury says it won't be inflationary. If you look at the welfare increases, the increase to the dole, the parenting payment and rent assistance, that adds up to about $10 billion, and then you chuck in the power price discounts and a couple other things. There's about $15 billion there, but that's spread over 4 years. It's going to be paid out over 4 years. It's not all up front. And in a $2 trillion economy, the Treasury boffins yesterday was saying that will be a negligible effect on inflation, and they think the power price discounts everyone's going to get will actually drag it down by 0.75%. So that's what they're saying. Ultimately, Dave, the budget will live and die on what it does to inflation. Look, I assume the RBA would be aware of it all before it's handed down, but we really won't know until they meet next. But you can see what's happening this morning. The government's getting smashed by both sides. The welfare lobby saying it's not good enough, and the economic drivers are saying it's too much. So they were never going to win, but I think they've sort of done a fairly good job trying to walk the middle.
We've observed a few times, Phil, over this rate tightening cycle that the RBA's worn all the criticism, and we're historically often the federal government will wear it when rates go up. It's been almost entirely the criticism based around Philip Lowe and the conduct of the Reserve Bank Board. Do you think now this budget being handed down and the speculation of it maybe putting upward pressure on inflation, if rates go up next time, will the federal government own it in a way they haven't owned the previous 10 or 11?
I reckon they have to, Will. You can only get when you come into government, you can only get away with so long with blaming the last lot for everything, and certainly that's the message coming from the opposition, that everything that happens from here onwards you own, and you can't keep pinning it on us. So look, truth be told, it's always a mixture of what you inherited and what you're doing, but in politics, things tend to be more black and white. So, Jim Chalmers is very good at blaming the former government for everything. And so the opposition is going to return that in kind. So I think now, I think from now onwards it'd be very difficult for them to say, but this is on the last lot. Whatever happens now, that they got to own, and that gets tricky for them. Because up until now, as we saw in the by-election in Aston back in April, the voters were sort of cranky about the cost of living, but they weren't blaming the Labor government. I think now that will sort of they'll start to feel a bit more political heat going forward.
I suppose in terms of inflation, like you can look at the big headline-grabbing numbers in a document like the budget, but what really matters is how people behave at the individual level. It's not so much the $10 billion plus outlay. It's what does the person who's on, say, JobSeeker do with the extra $20 a fortnight they're getting? And so much of the assistance for people at the bottom end seems to be. It's not like they're going to go out and go on some mad shopping spree. It's basically bringing them a bit of comfort after a full 12 months of genuine economic hardship.
That's right. It depends how much that money actually goes into the economy as extra money, as discretionary spending. If you're getting a deferral on your power bill because you can't afford to pay that plus buy groceries, well, all this is going to mean is you can now pay your power bill and maybe your groceries. And so it doesn't, and that won't be inflationary in that sense. That's right. So. We won't know. But look, I'm not an economist, as you know, but I tend to sort of.
Maybe that's why you keep getting your predictions right.
Exactly. But I do tend to sort of look. If you look at the numbers in the budget, Treasury's backing this in as not inflationary. So they'll have to. If they're making it up, then it'll be on them. Inflation's going to average 6% this financial year, but then they reckon it's going to fall to about 3.5% next year, and it'll be back to under 3, which is the nice comfortable target range the year after. So if you look at this politically, it's going the right way for Labor if it follows that trajectory. By the time we go to the polls, there will be no interest rate rises will be a thing of the past. There might even be a few decreases. If the Reserve Bank goes too hard in the next few months and pushes us too hard, they might have to be lowering rates by the time we go to the election. So the numbers are trending in the right direction in both a cost of living sense and a political sense. So, it's really, they can't get away. If they're fudging it, they'll get caught out, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And Phil, just finally, the stage 3 tax cuts, which are often reviled by more progressive people as a waste of money for the rich. Conversely, middle-class people say, well, geez, we're spending through the nose to prop up the economy with a much higher tax rate. Is the government still committed to them, and what's the timeline for them?
Well, they come into effect in July next year, not this year. So they're just watching them for now. They don't want to change them if they don't have to. What's interesting in the budget, we got back into surplus this year, but we're going back into deficit for the next 10 years. So if you read between the lines, just the sort of untold story is there's going to have to be more tax rises coming over the next 10 years to try and get that into surplus all the time and start paying down debt. We're not out of the woods yet, even though it sort of feels like that because we've got a one-off surplus. So that will bring the stage 3 tax cuts, the affordability of them into play as we go towards the next election. The only thing you'd say about that is one of the reasons the government has got so much money, there's so much revenue. They found $146 billion since October in extra revenue they didn't think they had. And one of the reasons that is a thing called bracket creep, because wages are now starting to go up and go up quite significantly. People are being pushed into higher tax brackets.
Yeah.
Right? So bracket creep is one of the most insidious taxes there is. So that's why every now and then you've got to cut income tax rates to stop bracket creep, to keep it contained. And the stage 3 tax cuts do that big time. So if you wipe them out, we're already taking more than half the revenue from income taxes from people. Income earners are already by far and away, the most taxed element of society, and so you've got they wouldn't be able to wipe out the stage 3 tax cuts for those reasons. And you've got to remember, most of them go to low income earners. I know the Greens run around saying it's Clive Palmer and billionaires, but that's rubbish. They start at 40,000.
Yeah,
and most of the money is going to go to people between 40 and 120,000, where most of the workforce is. So you can give them a haircut, chip them back for people at the top end just for political reasons. You'll save a bit. You won't save a lot. These huge figures being thrown around. Most of it goes to the lower end of the tax cuts, but you might be able to sort of just make them a little bit more respectable and use that money for something else. But I don't think you're ever going to be able to get rid of them.
Yeah. Great analysis, as always, Phil. Phil Curry, the National Political Editor for the Australian Financial Review, covering what, from memory, will be close to his 30th federal budget. I'm casting my mind back. Phil came over to Canberra.
It's a lot of lock-up hours.
In about 95, 96. I think he was there for the Keating government's last budget. Maybe the Howard government's first budget, but that was when he started, about 96. So he knows his stuff.
Gross debt is expected to peak in the budget 25-26 at over $1 trillion. Do you know how many zeros are in a trillion?
12?
12. Absolutely correct. To
12.
see it written down, it's
First time we've ever got a question involving numbers right.
It's a lot of...
Had to happen eventually.
It's a lot of zeros. 21 after 7.
Like the chimp in front of the typewriter who eventually wrote a Shakespearean sonnet.
We might have found your special subject. It might be trillions, billions, quintillions and all that kind of stuff. For your chance to win a $4 million grand prize, visit homelottery.com.au.
Thanks, Will. She's pretty smooth sailing for the run into work today, which is great. Simply busy in a couple of spots already, including South Road at Edwardstown. Also sluggish at Ridgehaven for works, North East Road near Tolley Road. Do have a lane out of action at Hectorville, St Bernard's Road near Carrawirra Avenue. Speeds at 40. And good news if you normally use the Southern Expressway on your way in at Bedford Park. Those works are clearing out, so a good run into the city. Look out for cameras this morning, Gage Street, Firle and Hillier Road at Ranella. UniSuper is open for every Australian. At UniSuper, shape a retirement that won't cost the earth. Look forward, think great. Visit unisuper.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Matthew Pantelis.
A student in trouble for writing a love letter. Suspended a 7-year-old. Well, it's not a love letter. She just wrote "I love you" as a note to another student, to a boy. She got suspended and had to sign a contract, essentially, saying, "I will not tell other kids I love them."
Weekday mornings from 9.
7. So she's being nice. She's kind, you would think.
On 1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
Watching footy with your mates? Brilliant. But heading to the Adelaide Oval and watching the footy in a corporate box with your mates? That's awesome! Buy any Lion beer, including Hans Super Dry, West End, Stone and Wood, or 4X Gold from the Albion Hotel, Birkenhead Tavern, Lighthouse Wharf, the Excelsior, or the Sundowner in Whyalla for a chance to win. You and 3 mates living large in a corporate box at Adelaide Oval. There's 4 packages up for grabs. You just know it's a Barreau Hotel. T's and C's apply.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, the team at Lynn Andrews Real Estate have made it easy to manage residential and commercial property. Whether you own a single residential home or multiple commercial properties, our passion for property investment means we have a great deal of knowledge to share. How to invest safely and properly. Matching the right tenant with the right property every time. We're here to help. Visit lynandrews.com.au.
Ham made from Australian pork has to meet Australia's strict quality controls and standards. And while that means us farmers have to jump through hoops, I reckon the taste's worth it. So for true Australian quality ham, just pick a pack with a pink pork logo.
For nearly 40 years, no one has done certified used cars quite like Steinborner Automotive, with dedicated yards including SA's best range of commercials loaded and ready to go, including SA's only dedicated small car and SUV centre, and SA's only large SUV and 4x4 centre suited for any lifestyle. Steinborner still also has the best range of Commodores, from ZBs to the collectibles. View all late model used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth a trip.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Test drive the Cherry Emoda 5 at Cherry Glen Osmond from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Go Cherry.
24 minutes after 7. Sean Fuster after 7:30. We'll go round the courts with Sean. John Blake before 8 o'clock. And then, building or renovating, your first choice, you'll be visiting the Smeg showroom at Debney Distributors. Taste the difference with Smeg. We'll open up the rumour file. So if you've heard anything around town, a little bit of a whisper, a rumour,
bit of a
big or small, local or national, it can be absolutely anything you like. You can stay totally anonymous and win yourself, I'm not sure what we've got today, a kettle, a blender, a toaster. We'll find out a little bit closer to 8. Andrew's called into the program. Morning to you, Andrew.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, David. How are you?
Good, thanks, mate.
Good, mate.
I just want to say, look, I'm originally from Melbourne, but don't hold that against me. Look, when I left school at a very early age for family reasons, I started off in my bargain basement. That's not so much what matters at the Burke Street and Lonsdale Street store, but the other job that I had, as soon as I was old enough, I was a conductor for a famous institution called the Melbourne and Metropolitan Tramway Board. Now, it doesn't matter whether it's buses or trams or whatever, conductors are gone. That's, and I'm still in public transport here in Adelaide. But, you talk about jobs that are gone. Well, in Melbourne, there was over 1,500 conductors gone.
Yeah. Well, heaps of jobs like that. And thinking in the print industry, there'd be people listening to this show who were called compositors, whose job it was to apply text to, in the old block printing days. And even when computers came in, there were still rules in place at work with things like the weather page, where journos couldn't type that information in. It was a way of keeping jobs alive for longer. So I can remember my first job, it was a cut and paste job where I'd get a Yoo-hoo glue stick and some scissors. I'd get the telex from the Weather Bureau. I'd cut out all of the next day's weather predictions and I'd take them to the comps area and the people would type that information in. Like, that's not even 30 years ago.
Yeah, and it sounds, kids going through doing journalism, they would find that to be prehistoric.
Well, you just get it all. Now you just copy the widget from the bomb URL and insert it in your website.
There's probably not even any U required. It could be automated.
It is.
Great call, Andrew. Good to have you on board, mate. We don't hold anything against former Victorians.
No, nothing. Particularly given that they're former Victorians.
Well, that's the key word. 8223 is that. You can text us too on the Dutton's text line. Let's talk sport for a moment. I thought this was an interesting moment on the Sport Show last night. Win a corporate box at Adelaide Oval for you and your mates. Visit a Bro Hotel for more. Rowie Timmy G had Port legend Chad Corns on, and they asked him about some of the comments of a former teammate and fellow Port legend.
Chad Studley Corns, you know I'm cheeky. Your premiership teammate, Warren Tredray, he lit the flame with the untenable quote. As a premiership mate, did you ring him? You're in the inner sanctum. Did you try and put him straight? Just give us some leverage around that.
I happened to find myself listening by chance last night. And, all I say is I hope he's not trying to take any credit for what we've done the last 5 weeks. And that sounded like that's what he was doing last night. And let me
came across like that for me.
It's got nothing to do with anything he has said or ever will say.
Oh, that is excellent.
Chad, that deep breath was the most feigned moment of will I control myself I've ever heard someone in a live media. Chad Cords is great because he'll always say exactly what he thinks.
No, it was a terrific interview.
That was fantastic.
The other stuff that was really interesting in that was the Jason Horne-Francis stuff. Obviously, the game this weekend against North Melbourne. There seems to be a view now from the AFL that booing should be stopped under all circumstances.
Good luck with that. Good luck telling crowds of people not to boo. See how that works out for you.
I'm certainly against booing people in a bloody minded way. Like the fact that all these Victorian fans have been booing Horne-Francis. But
North fans should be able to boo Jason Horne-Francis.
Well, we booed Kurt Tippett for a long time.
We booed Billy Frampton on the weekend, and the poor bloke got delisted. I mean, what was he meant to do? Retire? Take up a paper round? I hate that. I hate actually that form of booing. But people should be allowed to. It's football.
Yeah. Well, but the strictures now seem to be don't do it ever. So you can't boo a dirty player? Like if Trent Cotchin does one of his trademark sort of up and under.
Why wasn't there a call to ban?
You're not allowed to boo. Not allowed to boo him.
Why couldn't you? Why wasn't the boo? They were going to call to ban the boo when Jack Ginnivan was getting around last year, getting booed every time he touched the football as a young kid in his first or second year because he had blonde hair and he seemed like he had a bit of an ego. That one was all right, was it?
It was very inconsistent the way that this so-called rule is applied or not applied.
It's not going to work either. You can't tell people not to boo. Good luck with that. Sean Fuster's coming up in just a moment. There'll be more discussion about that on the Sports Show, no doubt. Win a corporate box to Adelaide Oval for you and your mates. Visit a Barrow Hotel for more.
What's the best thing about winter? Definitely the Bob Burns Blinds Winter Warmer Special. Get super cozy with up to 40% off. That's up to 40% off our entire range of curtains and blinds, including our energy-efficient window coverings. With Bob Burns Blinds, you'll get that quality show home look, and you'll save money on energy bills by trapping the heat in your home. Get set for winter now with a Bob Burns Blinds Winter Warmer Special. Book your free measure and quote at bobburnsblinds.com.au.
Now, nobody expects to see a car stuck on a staircase. What an extraordinary situation to find yourself in.
Yeah, no one expects to see a small car wedged under a truck either.
And no one expects to see a student and their backpack jammed in the closing door of a bus. But believe it or not, all of this stuff actually does happen.
So if the unexpected happens to you on the road, you can always expect the very best legal minds and advice from Duncan Bashir Hannon, providing legal services for all South Australians.
For more information, visit dbh.com.au. DBH Lawyers, with you, for you.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 18 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Looking for the perfect winter exercise? Physio Extra offers clinical Pilates at 6 locations. physioextra.com.
Labor's second budget contains more than $20 billion in spending measures, raising concerns of a further inflation spike. Michael Packey has the details.
More than 11 million Australians are expected to benefit from a funding boost to Medicare, which will offer doctors more incentives to provide bulk billing services. The job seeker rate will increase, there's more money for rent assistance, and energy bills will also be subsidised. Despite the spending splurge, Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers is confident the measures won't be inflationary.
This budget has been carefully designed and calibrated.
The opposition's Angus Taylor is not convinced, arguing it'll make life harder for many middle-income households.
It creates a situation where it gives with one hand and takes away with the other.
The budget is in surplus this financial year, but economic headwinds mean deficits are expected in the years ahead.
A man has been reported for drink driving at Elizabeth East. Senior Constable Rebecca Stokes says patrols spotted a car travelling very slowly on Main North Road around 12:30 this morning.
As the car turned onto Midway Road, the driver actually threw a wine bottle out the window and into the next lane of traffic. And police attempted to stop the car, but the driver continued on for another kilometre before pulling into the driveway of a nearby home.
Officers then spoke with the driver, who appeared intoxicated. The 35-year-old was reported for failing to stop for police, refusing a breath analysis, driving under the influence and littering. He'll be summoned to front court at a later date. The state government has ordered a review into how South Australia responded to the COVID pandemic. David Bruce has more.
A key committee will take a thorough look before the end of the year at how COVID decisions were made, but it won't be probing why authorities decided on particular rules. The state of emergency declaration lasted 793 days, and in that time, Nicola Spurrier and Grant Stevens called the shots, with a wide range of measures including lockdowns, quarantine orders, and the compulsory wearing of face masks. South Australia has recorded 1,419 COVID-related deaths from almost 1 million cases. Worldwide, COVID has killed millions and wreaked widespread economic and social chaos.
Donald Trump has been ordered to pay $5 million after being found liable in a civil rape case. US correspondent Jonathan Kersley has the details.
The jury of 6 men and 3 women in New York deliberated for just over 2.5 hours before finding Donald Trump liable for both battery and defamation. It did also find Donald Trump sexually abused writer E. Jean Carroll, but did not find he raped her in a department store fitting room in the 1990s. The combined damages awarded to Ms. Carroll is more than $7 million Australian dollars. The former president is also subject of another civil suit and multiple criminal investigations.
His lawyer says Trump will appeal. John Farnham's sons attended the premiere of their dad's new doco in Melbourne last night. Finding the Voice will hit the big screen on May 18. Robert Farnham letting everyone know their well wishes for the singer mean a lot.
Thank you so much. The support that everyone's given to us and our family and Dad has just been phenomenal.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
It's nearly tax time. Act now for immediate delivery on Mitsubishi Triton from Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
And the tribunal is sitting again tonight in the AFL, Tom Wren.
Which is important from a South Australian perspective, Mel, isn't it? Because power forward Junior Rioli will front the tribunal tonight. That's after it sat for almost 6 hours last night with two bans upheld while the other was overturned. Jordan Tunbridge reports.
Carlton midfielder Nick Newman has been cleared to play against the Western Bulldogs this week after successfully challenging his one-match ban at the AFL Tribunal. Newman had the charge dropped amid insufficient evidence. His strike on Brisbane's Lachie Neale was high, Neale submitting a letter to help Newman's case. Melbourne forward Jacob Van Rooyen has lost his challenge against a two-game ban for striking Gold Coast Charlie Ballard and will now consider an appeal. The tribunal ruled a reasonable player would have seen that in spoiling the ball in the way he did would almost inevitably have resulted in a forceful blow to Ballard's head. Meantime, Geelong's Brad Close failed to have his one-match ban for a dangerous tackle overturned.
To soccer now, Manchester City and Real Madrid will head into the second leg of their Champions League semi-final, all square after a 1-1 draw in Spain. Former Manchester United goalkeeper Mark Bosnich has told Stan Sport City is in the box seat to reach the final.
From Manchester City's perspective, if you can't win at home, you don't deserve to go on to the final and be European champions.
And Jofra Archer has flown home to the UK after injuring his elbow while playing in the Indian Premier League. England is hopeful the fast bowler will be fit for next month's Ashes series. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Worried about cheap insurance? Who offers great value cover you won't regret? Amy does. Before buying insurance issued by Amy, read the PDS and TMD at amy.com.au and consider whether it's right for you.
Good morning. Roads are looking the goods for the driving today. No great hassles, which is excellent. Simply busy in a couple of spots, including South Road at Edwardstown. Also Ridgehaven, busy there. North East Road near Tolly Road, that's for works. Got a lane out of action to Hectorville this morning. St Bernard's Road near Carrawirra Avenue, speeds of 40. And good news if you normally use the Summit Expressway through Bedford Park. Those works are wrapping up there, which is great. Should have a smooth run into the city. Look out for a camera 2 Gage Street at Firle. It's SUV season of Mercedes-Benz with great savings on select new and demonstrator models. Visit Mercedes-Benz Adelaide and Unley while stocks last. Ends June 30. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
See any issue firsthand with AutoCam. Real-time video. Direct to you from your Automasters technician.
Partly cloudy, 18 for your Wednesday. Mostly sunny tomorrow, 20. Friday, a shower or two, 19. Right now, it's 11 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Australia's greatest sporting rivalry is back with the 2023 Ampol State of Origin Series. Witness the game's best players square off in the ultimate fight for state pride as two of the greatest coaches, Freddie Fittler and Billy Slater, go head-to-head. The Maroons' dominant performance last year saw them reclaim the Shield, so the Blues will be out to deny Queensland another series win. Ampol State of Origin kicks off Wednesday, May 31 at Adelaide Oval. Unreal. Secure your seats today at nrl.com/tickets.
Dream big, South Australia, because you could win big in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. The $4 million grand prize built by Scott Salisbury Homes in Melbourne could be yours. Plus, there's a catalogue bursting with over 13,000 prizes, including luxury cars, holidays and cash. With a 1 in 15 chance of winning, get your tickets today. Join the fight. To see full details, visit homelottery.com.au. Licence M14364.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and
the business here in SA, we like to convene a bit of a roundtable where everyone gets an opportunity to speak, and then Mark the federal and state budget. So we'll do that after 8 o'clock today. David Kosh will be on the program. He'll have his say as well, of course. But first, this half hour, we're going around the courts.
It's time to go around the courts with Sean Fuster on 5AA Breakfast.
You can make a difference without getting involved through independent charity Crime Stoppers, supported by Police Credit Union. We had Sean on the program yesterday, of course, with the death of Dominic Perry. There was a huge outstanding legal question that related to his death, which of course in itself a big story, closing a huge chapter in Australian criminal history, one of the most high-profile cases we've had here. But it went to the appeal that was ongoing, Sean. Has anything changed in the last 24 hours? Because it was a sort of a picture of confusion yesterday amongst everyone who covers this.
It was. You and I were talking about it on air on yesterday morning. We were trying to figure out exactly what happens to the appeal from here. And that pretty much consumed the first half of my day yesterday, trying to get an answer to that question. Because it's not unprecedented that someone has died while they're waiting for an appeal. It has happened before. Yesterday I said to you guys, as far as I knew, it was unprecedented. Turns out it's not. There you go. Gaps in my knowledge. Filled now. Nice to learn something new. But I couldn't get a very clear answer from a lot of people because there was confusion within the legal fraternity as well. What it boils down to is this. As the president of the Court of Appeal, Mark Livesey, told me yesterday, when you die, so dies your right of appeal. That's it.
So it's over?
It's over. As far as the law states, it's over. Interestingly, there were some KCs and senior silks yesterday who said, His Honour is obviously correct. He's the president of the Court of Appeal. He knows what he's talking about. But we believe there is grounds within the law and precedent where you can say, for exceptional circumstances, the Court of Appeal should still bring back its judgment. Now,
what do exceptional circumstances mean? Does it mean that trial is so momentous in the state's history, or is that an extraneous sort of point?
I think that's one that you could argue. I think that in this case, by the sounds of things, exceptional circumstances are what we're going to try to get over the line. So it might be something like it was such a line ball call in terms of guilt and not guilty that, you know, the court needs to do this for the sake of someone's good name, for the sake of someone's family. It's in the interests of justice. It's in the public interest, that sort of thing. And I kind of have a feeling that we might see someone from the Perry camp try to do that. I've never covered a trial before where both sides, prosecution and defence, were so 100% convinced that they were correct. And I'm not talking about am convinced that I can get my client off. No, I'm convinced my client is not guilty. The Perry camp truly believed that their client was not guilty, and the prosecution truly believed he was. So if we're ever going to see a case where someone claims exceptional circumstances means that an appeal judgment should be brought down post-mortem, I think this will be it.
Conversely, could the state, given how convinced the prosecution were of his guilt, say, well, we'd actually quite like to see this one through, even though he's no longer with us, to make the point that he was a killer and that he deserved every year that he got in that sentence that was brought down a few years ago?
I doubt it because of the cost involved.
Yeah, right.
The amount of money that's already been spent on this 11-month trial, 9-month verdict period, the investigation that's been done by police, there's been a massive cost to the taxpayer here, and I'm not criticising that cost. Not to mention the fact that, of course, Perry's side was legal aid funded. So a lot of money has been poured into this already. I can't see that there's a public interest from the authorities' side of things into pouring in a bit more money to finish off something that, as far as they're concerned, wasn't an issue anyway. I mean, their submissions at appeal were, what are we doing here?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
right. We'll be certainly following that one. Is there any developments on that front? The other thing we've had over the course of the last week is a series of juvenile bail cases, some very high-profile ones that we'll talk about, but also in relation to people who are associated with the same incident, namely the stabbing that took place in the just 500 metres away from us here in the City Cross.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, we talked last week on the show about the 15-year-old who did not have allegedly not have the knife in that incident, who was also accused of having stabbed a woman in the hand at Unley in a separate incident. He got bail. The other day I went to the youth court and saw the boy who allegedly had the knife and did the stabbing in the City Cross incident. He's 14. He asked for bail on the grounds that he had a place to go, and if the court didn't like the place he wanted to go, he'd go back and live with his mum, because he's been effectively banished from mum's house, the court was told, but it's all okay now, it's all sorted out. He'd like to go and live there. However, he said, it's mum's fault that I committed these offences anyway because she's failed to parent me to the level that I require. Now we
that
talk
could actually be true, though, couldn't it?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we talk a lot in the community, and I see a lot of responses on social media about, it goes back to the parents. It goes back.
Yeah.
Don't blame the authorities. Don't blame the police. It goes back to the parents. And so I hear this in court, and I think that could be quite a strong and salient argument. Then the prosecution comes back and says, Your Honour, he's actually got other offending, and his mother's the victim of some of that alleged offending. So you go, okay. It may be that this boy is not being parented to the level that he requires, but how can you parent the boy to the level he requires when, according to the prosecution, the first person he threatened with a knife was his own mother?
Any mention of his dad? Is Dad on the scene?
No mention whatsoever. But Dad was in court. Dad was physically in court listening, but he was not talked about in the submissions that were made.
So there's no reference as to whether he lives with his dad, whether his dad is in the household, or...
No references whatsoever.
So for the purposes of bail then, they being the grounds of both arguments, this is boiled down to a nature v nurture conversation?
It almost does, doesn't it? But of course it comes back to the risk posed to the public.
Right.
And the magistrate was able to say, well, look, if mum's allegedly been threatened with a knife, and then you've allegedly stabbed the security guard, I think that the threat to the community is kind of high.
Yeah.
So we're not going to give you bail. But at the same time, the magistrate says, this is a case that is for a very young man, and I want the prosecution to move as quickly as possible to get all the evidence together so that if we're going to move on to sentencing, we can do it as quickly as possible and get this young man back out into the world, into his life again.
What does that sentence look like?
It's a good question. I mean, every other matter that this young man has had prior to this has been dealt with by what's called a family conference, which is when everybody sits down, much like we are right now, and talks about how they feel, how they were affected by the crime, and what can be done in future. But that doesn't carry a conviction, and that doesn't carry a penalty. It's a sit down and talk about what you've done. If that's what's happened with all of his matters previous, and the security guard, assuming he pleads guilty or is found guilty, and assuming the security guard in this matter wants to do that, that's the way it will go.
Yeah, well, I think when it gets to the point that you run around stabbing people in broad daylight in shopping centres, your age matters less than public safety.
Yeah. What concerns me is how many family conferences do you get before you start moving into what I'll call the more adult jurisdiction of penalty and punishment? Because if you're having multiple family conferences, is the message actually getting through?
No, clearly.
Yeah. And at some point in time, you'd like to consider the family of the poor security guard too.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
You know, how many chances did he get? The other high-profile one, Sean, is one we've been talking about, this school captain that, was... There's purportedly CCTV of him in a video where the allegation is his father shot and killed a man who they found in their back shed, and the question went to, what do you do about this school captain with an apparently impeccable record, who's a young man? What danger does he pose to society? When we last spoke, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, I think we all had the expectation that he would probably get bail. He didn't.
No,
you
he
were
didn't.
There.
That's
what
right.
happened?
Well, it was interesting because prosecution and defence had very different versions of what could be seen on the CCTV footage, because this is an incident that's been captured on CCTV. The defence are saying, well, you can see that clearly my client shines the torch but does nothing else, takes no physical part in the act. The prosecution says, we disagree with that. After the first shot is fired and Stephen Murphy, that's the name of the man, is shot, Marco Yandel, the young man, moves forward with the torch, takes steps forward and actually changes the angle of the torch so that his father, Keith, can fire shot number 2 and shot number 3. So we say he's a participant in this. He may not pull the trigger, but he's clearly spotting, like rabbit spotting. That's what he's doing. He's clearly shining the torch so that these shots can be fired. It's an interesting one for the Justice, Sandy McDonald, in this case, because this video will be the key piece of evidence at trial, and you don't want to prejudice a jury down the track. So what she did, and I think very thoughtfully and very carefully, was she said, I viewed the video multiple times. I viewed it with the prosecution's version of events in front of me. I viewed it with the defence version of events in front of me, and I viewed it on my own. I'm not going to comment about what I think that video depicts, because that's a matter for a jury down the track. All I will say is this: it's a very well-laid murder charge.
Well, that's almost...
It's a very interesting indication, isn't it? And from that, she said, as a result... That's right. As a result of that, it cannot possibly be appropriate that this young man go out on bail. So he's in custody till at least October.
Watching your coverage online and on the TVs as well of that hearing last week, the mother, Mrs. Yandel, in this case, just what she must be going through.
Yeah.
Husband, son, not to make light of the fact that there's a dead person there as well, but, there's absolutely no suggestion that she is even remotely involved or even aware of any of this, and now she's in a situation where both husband and her son are in the clink awaiting trial.
And if all this is proven beyond reasonable doubt or guilty pleas are entered, one thing we need to always remember is, as much as we talk about the victims of an offence, the family of an offender are victims in a way as well.
Well, they are. Yeah.
Unless they are intrinsically involved or supporting it or financially funding it or something like that, unless they are somehow connected, they too suffer as a result of what goes on.
Hey, Sean, just a quick one from one of our callers, William. He's interested to know, do parents of underage kids ever get reprimanded themselves by the courts?
I've seen it happen in an informal way, never in a formal way. I've seen magistrates actually speak to parents and give them a dressing down. It's always a very polite dressing down, but it's you need to do better. You need to make sure that your son, daughter, whatever, obeys these bail conditions. If they don't, we will be taking them back into custody. There's no consequences in terms of pecuniary, financial, fine, jail, anything like that. But you will get the odd magistrate who will say, now, listen here, you need to actually straighten this kid up.
Good question, William. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. And appreciate you, Sean. Great to have you in the studio with us.
2 days in a row.
Double Sean's. Yeah, that's right. And, well,
might get you on tomorrow.
Be 3 times in a week if you count Sunday as part of this week.
That's right. Sunday night, 7 o'clock, just lawful, as we move into a very special episode.
Looking forward to it. Good on you, Sean. For your chance to win a $4 million grand prize, visit homelottery.com.au.
Got a small bingo to look out for this morning at Edinburgh North. It's on Peachy Road near Womera. A bit of debris on the road there, so take it easy. Outside that, pretty good run into work. Busy in a couple of spots already, however, including South Road at Edwardstown. Also Tapley Road at Glenorg North. We are slow for works at Munopara, Main North Road near Mile Avenue, and got laid out of action at Hilton this morning, so Donald Bradley Drive near Pearson Streets. Cameras Hillier Drive, Ranella, and 6th Avenue at Jocelyn. Shopping is so much easier when you use the Coles app. Plan ahead, see your savings. Create an in-store shopping list to help you stick to your budget. Download the Coles app today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Need a forklift? Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Toyota is the world's #1 forklift brand with a great range of pallet jacks, walkie stackers and reach forklifts right up to their leading Toyota counterbalance forklifts. Legendary reliability and safety with cleaner, greener electric options. Toyota can tailor the right forklift solution for you. It's all part of the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get a Toyota forklift.
Hi, Katie Bridges here, Market Lead at 5AA. The Vinnie's CEO Sleepout is back, June 22nd at the home of tennis in SA, The Drive. 2023 will mark my 3rd time sleeping out. I keep coming back to the Vinnie's CEO Sleepout because everyone deserves a safe place to call home, and I know the funds we raise are in good hands with Vinnie's. If you're a business or community leader who cares about our community like I do, don't drop the ball. Sign up now at ceosleepout.org.au.
So many lives are impacted by breast cancer. It's never an easy thing to face, but Calvary SA's recently expanded breast and endocrine service is here if you need it.
Now, it can be helpful to understand your risk factors with a family history review or to have any suspicious lumps checked. Calvary's expert team offer quality patient care tailored to individual needs to help you through your entire journey.
They'll guide you through every step, and together with service providers on site, you can rest assured that you're in good hands.
If you have breast concerns, ask your GP for a referral and get access to immediate appointments with experienced medical specialists. Search Calvary SA Breast and Endocrine Service for more info. Available at Calvary North Adelaide Hospital and Calvary Central Districts Hospital in Elizabeth Vale.
Bardsy here from Barbecue Adelaide Weber Stores. Are you having a killer feed for Mother's Day and need some inspiration? Well, come see me at Barbecue Adelaide Weber Stores for everything barbie, rubs, spices or just some advice. Or do the right thing and get your mum a brand new Weber or some Yeti gear for Mother's Day. So, for everything Barbie this Mother's Day, head down to Barbecue Adelaide Weber Stores, Jeffs Cross and Mile End, and prepare to get lit.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on, or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. For fixed price services, call Precise.
For a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Test drive the Cherry Emotive 5 at Cherry Glen Osmond from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Go Cherry.
6 minutes to 8. Jeez, we've had some great contributions on the Dutton's text line this morning for the all-new Volkswagen Amarok. It's available right now to test drive at Dutton's in the Adelaide Hills. We'll get to some more of those very shortly. The other thing we want you to do is call in on 8223 0000, putting on your best spy voice or your made-up voice or whatever you might well want.
Deep throat.
Exactly right, because...
Give us the tea, Adelaide.
That's right. We want the goss. We want your rumours. We want to know what you're hearing about what's going on in your neck of the woods here in Adelaide. It could be in your suburb. It could be in, town hall. It could be about
some parish pump local issue.
Absolutely.
It could be some weighty matter of state.
I mean, obviously,
it could be anything.
If it
could be a sports thing.
Exactly right.
Something from the world of the arts.
Nothing too big or small for the rumour file. Building or renovating, your first choice should be visiting the Smeg showroom at Debney Distributors. Taste the difference with Smeg. What have we got here? A blender.
It's a blender, Will. That is a blender. You could do all sorts of things in that. You could blend your cream of cauliflower soup with a bit of Stilton cheese and some croutons. Wouldn't blend the croutons. The whole point is you want them to be crunchy, so you add them afterwards.
They haven't plugged it in for you this morning, I know.
You could make some gazpacho. You could make some margaritas. I see a blender, I immediately think margarita. That's your go-to.
Sort of Pavlovian response, isn't it?
Where's the lime? Where's the Jose Cuervo? Let's get this show on the road.
They sharpen up your kitchen. I reckon they add value to your home Smeg appliances. People come through for a walk through and they go, oh, I'll put 10 extra $1,000 on my offer for this joint.
Those people who zhuzz up homes for sale, if you're selling your house, they do things like
dressing. Home dressing, is what they call it?
Yeah. Like they'll bake bread or have a plunger of
styling, says Lucy.
Bodum coffee. So there's nice aromas in the house. But I reckon if you had a really pared back, sort of nice, sleek, modern kitchen, they'd say, let's put one of those Smeg blenders there because it says, hey, I'm doing all right.
That's right. You could be doing all right. All you need to do is provide us with the tea, your rumour, 8223 0000. Don't worry.
It's not just a blender. It's almost like a fashion accessory.
Oh, it's a statement.
It's a sign that you made it. If you got good taste.
If you can't come up with a false name, don't worry. Lucy and Sam well equipped to come up with something that will not identify you. In the meantime, it's time for John Blake. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing, and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
The office of the former Premier of South Australia, the Honourable Stephen Marshall.
Yes, Julian.
Morning, one-term Premier.
Don't call me that.
What do you expect? You promised me we'd be in the Premier's office for a lot longer than 4 miserable years.
What do you want?
I was wondering if you wanted a cup of tea, although God knows why I'd even offer.
Yes, please, if it doesn't put you out.
Oh, funny. No wonder you didn't.
What?
Nothing. I'll bring it in.
Okay.
Tea, lady!
Oh, good.
Gosh, aren't you looking all smug?
What do you mean?
Well, all this talk about big acts not coming to Adelaide like Taylor Swift.
Oh, yes, well, there's nowhere for them to perform, really, is there?
No, that's right. It's an outrage.
We're almost back to where we were before the entertainment centre was built.
Yes, and now people are saying that your entertainment complex might have been a good idea after all.
That's right.
Smug.
I'm not smug, Julian. I just hope the people who voted Labor are satisfied with what they've got.
Yes, and isn't it good about the ramping?
Oh, no, that's not appropriate, Julian. They need to fix the ramping.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, you're right.
Yes.
Good to see them struggling, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
It's really silly, isn't it, though, that if you just left the V8 supercars alone, cancelled that stupid giraffe enclosure on the banks of the Torrens, fixed the ramping and had a more attractive chest, you might have been a two-term Premier.
Oh, well, can't win them all.
No, just one, really.
Oh, okay. Anything else?
Yes, the advertiser rang and would like to know when the by-election's going to be.
Oh, what?
In other words, when are you going to quit?
Well, I don't know yet.
Okay, and the other thing was our fearless leader, David Spears, rang as well.
Oh, what did he want?
Well, he wants to start promoting someone to contest this seat.
Right.
So he, too, wants to know when the by-election's going to be.
Now, I actually think a lot of what Blakey just said in that sketch is true. I think David Spears is keen to know the answer to that question.
I think all of South Australia is keen to know that
question.
I
think it will be the second half of this year.
Okay.
And it will be the only by-election. I don't think David Pisoni is going to leave early and only. I think he's made a pledge to his constituents that he's going to stick out the term.
Breaking at 7:58.
There you go.
All right, 5AA
John Blake.
5AA News. Must be good breaking 8 coming up after 8 o'clock. And then our budget roundtable. Movers and shakers here in Adelaide with their view on the budget and their score of Jim Chalmers' federal budget last night.
G'day, it's Eddie May here from NRG Solar. People buy a solar system to save money and do the right thing by the environment. So why would you buy a battery? Well, people buy a battery because they want independence from the grid. They don't want to be inconvenienced in the event of a blackout and, of course, protect themselves from future power rises. Now, electricity is going up, so whatever your needs are regarding solar and battery storage, you can rely on NRG Solar for the right solution. Visit nrgsolar.com.au.
Speak with One Solution and they'll tell you cybercrime is not a big business problem, a government problem or a small enterprise problem. It's everyone's problem. Ransomware, malware and adware remain the #1 threat. One call to One Solution will put your business in a safe place. It's the smartest, most cost-effective business decision you'll ever make. Get in touch with One Solution, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award. onesolution.net.au.
The store-wide savings spectacular is now on at Specsavers. Get any pair with standard multifocals for just $199. Choose from all the frames and all the big designer names, like Tommy Hilfiger, Country Road, Ted Baker, Carlos and Patty, and more. But don't miss out, limited time only. So to save on multifocals, should have gone to Specsavers. Conditions apply.
What's on your bucket list? Skydiving? Swimming with dolphins? Hot air ballooning? Before you plan a bucket list, plan your will with Donlan Lawyers. A will, power of attorney and advanced care directive speak for you when you can't. It means you and your loved ones will be taken care of. Visit donlanlawyers.com. Put it on your bucket list. Hindmarsh Square, Adelaide and Ocean Street, Victor Harbour.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 18 today. With the 8 o'clock news, I'm Mel Usher.
Physio Extra has Mother's Day sorted. 5 Pilates classes plus socks, all for $120. PhysioExtra.com.
Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers has dismissed suggestions his second budget does little for middle-income families. The government has announced more than $20 billion in spending. There's a boost to Medicare to try and lift bulk billing rates. Welfare payments will increase and households will get energy discounts. Dr Chalmers says the budget is a complex balancing act.
There are other measures in the budget for people who aren't on pensions and payments. Because we've had to be so responsible, we've prioritised the most vulnerable people, but there's a lot in there for Middle Australia as well. The changes in Medicare, for example, bulk billing, big part of it, changes in early childhood education to make that cheaper.
Canberra will invest $2 billion in hydrogen energy. State Treasurer Stephen Mulligan says that's a key focus for the Malinowskis government.
Last night's hydrogen announcement was really welcome for South Australia. Not only are we ideally positioned to take the lead on this in the nation, but currently we've got the Premier and the Energy Minister overseas in Europe spruiking our state's hydrogen credentials.
A man has been reported for drink driving at Elizabeth East. He allegedly threw a wine bottle out of the car window while being followed by patrols in the early hours of this morning. Senior Constable Rebecca Stokes says they caught up with him when he pulled into a driveway.
The 35-year-old Elizabeth East man has been reported for failing to stop for police, refusing a breath analysis, driving under the influence and littering, and he was issued with a 12-month instant loss of licence, and his car's been impounded for 28 days, and he'll also face court at a later date.
Coles will phase out soft plastic shopping bags nationwide by the end of next month. It'll remove 230 million plastic bags from circulation within the next year. The supermarket will continue selling paper bags and other reusable options. A New York jury has found Donald Trump sexually abused writer E. Jean Carroll in a department store fitting room in the 1990s, but he did not rape her. Trump has been ordered to pay $5 million US. His lawyer says they'll appeal. Former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer has told Sky News the outcome could have been worse.
Optics do matter in politics, but I think if you're President Trump right now, you're probably resting easy when it came to the charge of rape would have stung a lot.
And a slap on the wrist for Tom Hanks's wife in London. Rita Wilson has been told off for filming the ABBA Voyage show with her mobile phone while in the audience. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
It's nearly tax time. Act now for immediate delivery on Mitsubishi Triton from Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Port Adelaide forward Junior Rioli will learn what length of suspension, if any, he'll receive when he fronts the tribunal for an incident involving Essendon defender Jordan Ridley later tonight. There were 3 cases last night, with Melbourne considering an appeal against the tribunal's decision to uphold Jacob Van Rooyen's 2-match ban for striking Gold Coast defender Charlie Ballard. The tribunal found a reasonable player would have seen that in spoiling the ball the way he did, he would almost inevitably have resulted in a forceful blow to Ballard's head. Richmond's Jack Riewoldt sympathises with Van Rooyen, telling Fox Footy his fellow key forward was in a difficult position.
Coaches harp on to key forwards about making a contest. You don't need to mark the ball, you've just got to make a contest. And he's tried to make a contest there. He's made a bit of a blue and made a contact, but I don't think he's gone out of his way to nuke him.
Geelong forward Brad Close failed to overturn his ban for a dangerous tackle, while Carlton defender Nick Newman was cleared over a striking charge. To soccer, and Manchester City's played out a 1-1 draw in the opening leg of its Champions League semi-final tie against Real Madrid. The return leg will be played next week in Manchester, while the first leg of the other semi-final tie between bitter rivals AC Milan and Inter Milan will be played tomorrow morning, our time. To cricket, South Africa has automatically qualified for the Men's 50-over Cricket World Cup after a washout between Ireland and Bangladesh. Meantime, England is hopeful fast bowler Jofra Archer will be fit for the Ashes next month, despite suffering a concerning elbow injury. And 2 big games in the NBA playoffs this morning, with the Boston Celtics hosting the Philadelphia 76ers in Game 5 of their series, while the Denver Nuggets will do the same in their series against the Phoenix Suns. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Worried about cheap insurance? Who offers great value cover you won't regret? Amy does. Before buying insurance issued by Amy, read the PDS and TMD at amy.com.au and consider whether it's right for you.
And Edinburgh North got a small bingle on Peachy Road near Wammer Road with some debris on the road there. Busy at the moment, South Road at Edwardstown, also Tapley's Hill Road at Glenelg North. Slow for works at Ridgehaven this morning, North East Road near Tully Road, and got a lane out of action at Hectorville, St Bernard's Road near Karawira Avenue, speeds at 40. Cameras Arthur Street, Tranmere and Perry Bar Road at Hallett Cove. This month, Telstra is offering 3 days of unreal deals on phones, home internet and more. Offers run until this Thursday. Shop in-store or online to find out more. Adelaide's most accurate traffic card, 5AA.
Now the 5AA weather.
See any issue firsthand with AutoCam. Real-time video, direct to you from your Automaster's technician.
Heading for a top of 18 today and partly cloudy, mostly sunny tomorrow 20, Friday a shower or 2 19. Right now it's 15 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
You've decided to build? It's exciting stuff. When you've found land, it's a good idea to get advice on what you can build on your new parcel of paradise. Get Steve from Beechwood Homes to take a look. There's no obligation, and you'll get a great understanding of what's possible. Sloping block, flat block, weird shaped block, or block on a cliff. Speak with Steve from Beechwood Homes for all the possibilities. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Gooding.
In just a second, we want you to give us the tea, Adelaide.
Give us the tea, Adelaide.
What's the whisper in your neck of the woods? What are you hearing from the world of, well, it could be anything, local government, your area, your suburb, business, sport? We don't mind. You can win you a Smeg blender this morning if you're building or renovating. Your first choice should be visiting the Smeg showroom at Debney Distributors. Taste the difference with Smeg. It's a beautiful appliance.
Is it ever?
You can remain totally anonymous, and we'll take your calls right through until 9 o'clock this morning on 8223 0000. Had some crackers in recent weeks as well, but there's no rumour too big or small. We love them all.
Oh, it could be just absolute trifle parish pumpkins.
Yeah.
Don't give marks out of 10.
Exactly right. Koshy coming up after 8:30. And our budget roundtable, surely love doing this. We'll get a snapshot of how various interest groups see the budget. Give them a minute to speak, and a score out of 10. They'll rate Jim Chalmers' federal budget last night. Stick around for that. It's minutes away.
Well, as the South Australian Liberal Party tries to get off the mat after bad losses last year in both the state and federal elections, there's a pre-selection happening this Saturday that has the potential to be significantly more interesting than it might normally be. Tony Passon is pretty well entrenched as the member for the federal seat of Barker, Mount Gambier based, but quite vast. It goes all the way up the eastern border of South Australia towards the Riverland, takes in pretty much the entire southeastern part of rural South Australia, all the way down to the Mount. He's being challenged by Catherine McBride, who's the wife of State MP Nick McBride. Now, no one's predicting that she's going to win, but some people are telling me that the result might be closer than Mr. Passon, who is not without his detractors on the moderate side of the party. He's a pretty solid conservative, close to people like Alex Antic. He was historically close to Nicole Flint. So obviously with the sort of balkanised world of the SA Liberals, a lot of the city-based moderates aren't particularly enamoured of him. I've been told that there's a number of new members who've joined the seat of Barker who, luckily for Mr. Passon, might not be or won't be eligible to vote yet at this pre-selection because they haven't been members for long enough, but that they're linked to moderates in the party, people such as Ashton Hearn. I also have heard that Anne Ruston has expressed some interest maybe in a shift to the lower house in the event that she gets pushed down the Senate ticket, because there's a Senate pre-selection coming up later this year, which again, around the Antic forces, could become a bit of a flashpoint for some ideological drama. But the meeting is being held in Murray Bridge. There's going to be a big turnout. Peter Credlin, the former Chief of Staff to Tony Abbott, is going to be a guest speaker at the state's Rural and Regional Liberal Council, so there'll be a lot of people bussing in for it. But let's just say that the hope of many in the party, well, the hope of some in the party is that Catherine McBride knocks him off. I don't think it's going to happen, and neither do they. But they are very much hoping that he gets the wind put up him in the form of a close-run result on Saturday.
Very intriguing little breaking at 8, that one. All right, 11 after 8. Lots of feedbacks come from the federal budget last night on the Duttons text line. We'll continue to read out your texts. The all-new Volkswagen Amarok available right now to test drive at Duttons Adelaide Hills. Keep them coming in, 0480811395. You can call us too and have your say on 8223 0000. But we wanted to hand it over to some industry experts and some people from representative organisations of those like COTA, Council on the Ageing, SACOS, the Civil Contractors, Business SA, and from an academic perspective on the question of how the budget tackles inflation, we'll be speaking with Dr. Susan Stone. They're all coming up in a moment on 5AA Breakfast for our post-budget roundtable. Let's check traffic first, though. For your chance to win a $4 million grand prize, visit homelottery.com.au.
Thanks, Will. At Wingfield, got a two-car smash on Green Junction Road and Gallipoli Drive. Croydon got a smash on the north-south motorway near Hawker Terrace, and Edinburgh North got a small bingle on Peachy Road near Womber Road with some debris there. Busy right now, South Road at Edwardstown, also slow Ridgehaven, North-East Road near Tully Road with cameras Cooper Place, Beaumont, and Gate Street at Fell. Walk in a Box at OTR has delicious meals from just $9.95, made from the freshest ingredients and tasty Asian-style sauces. Walk in a Box at OTR. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowie and Timmy G on the 5AA Sports Show.
Chad Collins, the assistant coach, Port Adelaide.
Your premiership teammate, Warren Treadray, he lit the flame with the untenable quote.
I happened to find myself listening last night, and all I say is I hope he's not trying to take any credit for what we've done the last 5 weeks, and that sounded like that's what he was doing last night.
Rowie and Timmy G.
It's got nothing to do with anything he has said or ever will say.
Bang.
4 p.m. weekdays on 5AA.
Dream big, South Australia, because you could win big in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. The $4 million grand prize built by Scott Salisbury Homes in Melbourne could be yours. Plus, there's a catalogue bursting with over 13,000 prizes, including luxury cars, holidays and cash. With a 1 in 15 chance of winning, get your tickets today. Join the fight. To see full details, visit homelottery.com.au. Licence in 14364.
Speak with One Solution and they'll tell you cybercrime is not a big business problem, a government problem or a small enterprise problem. It's everyone's problem. Ransomware, malware and adware remain the #1 threat. One call to One Solution will put your business in a safe place. It's the smartest, most cost-effective business decision you'll ever make. Get in touch with One Solution, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award. onesolution.net.au.
G'day, it's Eddie May from NRG Solar. More and more South Australians are taking control of their energy bills with solar and battery storage. In fact, Australians are taking up battery storage in record numbers because they're sick of rising power bills and being locked into a system where someone else calls the shots. The other huge bonus of going with NRG Solar and battery storage is that you'll be protected from blackouts with an uninterrupted power supply. Take control. Visit nrgsolar.com.au.
What's the best thing about winter? Definitely the Bob Burns Blinds Winter Warmer Special. Get super cozy with up to 40% off. That's up to 40% off our entire range of curtains and blinds, including our energy-efficient window coverings. With Bob Burns Blinds, you'll get that quality show home look, and you'll save money on energy bills by trapping the heat in your home. Get set for winter now with the Bob Burns Blinds Winter Warmer Special. Book your free measure and quote at bobburnsblinds.com.au.
When you die, who gets what? Will your kids or relatives argue over your estate? Will your beneficiaries be protected? Will your estate be tax effective? Will your wishes be respected and carried out? Speak with Donlan Lawyers now for peace of mind. Donlan Lawyers for wills and estate planning. Visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Test drive the Cherry Emoda 5 at Cherry Glen Osmond from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Go Cherry.
Well, this is unashamedly a budget to provide that strong foundation for a better future that we promised by taking pressure off families who most need it whilst not putting pressure on inflation. So we could have done what some suggested, which is to hand cash out to provide that support. Instead, we designed a mechanism to reduce people's power bills that provides that support to families whilst at the same time it therefore is deflationary as a measure.
That's the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese on Sky News a short time ago, spruiking the federal budget handed down by Jim Chalmers yesterday. We've had your verdict on the budget, and something that has become a custom here on 5AA Breakfast is our post-budget state and federal round table. We get the movers and shakers in town to have their say on how the budget addresses the needs of the people they represent. We're going to do something a little bit different this time because we haven't gone often to academia for a view, but Dr. Susan Stone, who's the Credit Union SA Economics Chair at UniSA, has been a really valuable contributor to chats we've had about interest rates, inflation and the state of the Australian economy in what's been a really uncertain 12 months. So we've invited Dr. Stone to be part of the round table this morning, where the rules are simple. You get a minute, you can have your say, and then you score the budget from your perspective. And Dr. Stone, we wanted, of course, your perspective to be about how the budget deals with inflation. So take it away. You've got a minute and we'll get your score at the end.
Well, thanks very much. What I think about the budget is that
there are a couple of good points and a couple of bad points when it comes to inflation. Overall, the fact that the windfall, the increased revenue that they have, they didn't spend that. That is a good thing for inflation, of course, because that will put less funding into less spending and dollars into the market, so that they get points for that. The energy bills, the increases in job seeker, those payments will put more money into people's pockets, which on the one hand is a good thing. On the other hand, is can be inflationary. But there's a couple of caveats there. They're giving the energy money directly to the energy companies, so it's not what people will be paying, the energy costs they're facing. So the price of energy will be lower. So that will lower the measured rate of inflation. So that's kind of a good thing from that perspective. And the money that's going to job seekers, single parents, other types of low-income families, that goes to paying for things like food, clothing, rent. They are getting rent assistance. So, and food and clothing, especially clothing, the inflationary pressures there have been shown to be coming down. So I think, and it's not a whole lot that they're getting, so I'm not sure exactly how much inflationary pressure at the end of the day this will put on the economy.
Okay, so what, on the question of dealing with inflation then, what would you give it out of 10?
Oh, I'm an economist. I'm always both this side and that side. It's hard for me to give a number. But if I get pushed, I would give it about a 6.
Okay, 6 out of 10. Thank you, Dr. Stein. It's our totally unscientific ranking of the budget, but it's a nice way of just encapsulating people's views. Thank you for that. Appreciate your contribution. Let's go to Rebecca Pickering, the CEO of the Civil Contractors Federation, who we spoke to ahead of the budget about some of their concerns. Rebecca, were your concerns addressed adequately?
We have a cautious stance on the current federal budget. Certainly we want to see more. It seems, as we spoke about earlier in the week, that review is something that we very much need put to bed within the 90 days. So we eagerly await the outcomes of that. We also wait for this apprenticeship redesign that the budget speaks to, and are looking to understand whether our civil apprentices will be captured there. Of interest, as we've spoken about in previous years, there is no funding for South Australia on the major project business case fund. And this is that fund that actually looks at our 5 to 10 year project trajectory for South Australia. This is again disappointing, particularly in the fact that we do have a 90-day review. It certainly appears that perhaps some of our road programs are on a decline, so there's less funding across a range of programs, including road and strategic importance. Our black spot programs seem to be static, and there seems to be a higher increase of funding for bridge renewal and road investment components. And we're assuming, looking at the budget papers, it's not specifically referenced, but the North-South corridor may be a component of that road investment component that's detailed there. So we'll wait to see the details. And as one of your callers said earlier this morning, that heavy vehicle road user charge is going to be interesting, and obviously those costs for freight will be passed down to end consumer and may have an impact on construction costs as well. So certainly an interesting budget, and we probably give it a 5 out of 10 at the moment.
5 out of 10 from the Civil Contractors Federation here. Thank you for that, Rebecca. Andrew Kay represents the business community in South Australia, the CEO of Business SA. How did you score the budget, Andrew?
Yeah, well, it's a bit like Prince Harry at the coronation. Business has taken a bit of a back seat here with this budget.
Surely the relationship's not that bad with the government.
The focus has obviously been on cost of living pressures and health and Medicare, but look, there's some good news around tax breaks that will help businesses transition to electrifying their business. On the same subject of energy, there's rebates for business owners of up to $650 on their soaring power bills, a bit like the households are seeing. That'll hit up about 1 million businesses across the country. The skills shortage, it's been a major problem for businesses here. We see some respite there with fee-free TAFE places being increased, and there's some great initiatives around getting further women participation into the workforce, which is good news. There's a bit of stuff around cyber-proofing businesses and some extension of instant asset write-offs. Bigger news, there's nearly $400 million going into an industry growth program over 4 years, which will help startups and SMEs. It replaces a program that's currently running for entrepreneurs, but that's good for South Australia, where we're quite a heavily SME state. There's around $2 billion going into scaling up hydrogen industry development. So what that means for SA, or particularly for FIVEAA, we'll be keen to know. But overall, it's a modest budget for business that takes advantage of the economic windfall that's been talked about from commodities, really, and it doesn't seek to really address the larger issues around productivity or economic growth. So we'd say a solid 6.
6 out of 10. Thank you. Andrew Kay, the CEO of Business
Cheers,
SA.
Andrew.
Ross Womersley, interested in your view, Ross, the CEO of the South Australian Council of Social Services, given so much of the spruiking of the budget has been around its welfare boosting credentials. So how did you see it?
Indeed. Thanks, Will and Dave. Look, we were genuinely pleased to see a shift in the narrative about people in hardship. I think that's a really overarching thing. People in poverty not simply being blamed for their difficult circumstances. And so that was illustrated by things like the government's decision to change the Parent Next program, restoring the parenting payment single for those families that have got a youngest child under 13, boosting those bulk bill GP consultations for particularly health card and concession holders. The fee-free TAFE extension, I think, is a really helpful thing, particularly for those people that are struggling to find their way into the employment workplace. Doubling the medication available on a single script will be a very helpful measure. Energy bill relief, so the extra money that's coming to people on low incomes that will be targeted at helping them deal with the huge rise in energy costs, all good. Increases in the CRA, $12 to $15 a week, that'll be helpful. And the dollars to improve energy efficiency in existing social housing will actually also be helpful. Of course, the real increase in the job seeker youth allowance, which is only $2.85 a day, unfortunately. We're very disappointed the government didn't go much further on income support. Their own Economic Inclusion Advisory Committee recommended that the increase be $128 a week. ACOS and the COS network have been consistently arguing for an increase of $7 to $76 per day. And just to put it in some perspective, those stage 3 tax cuts, which are going to come through in the next year or two, they're going to deliver $25 a day in a cut to our wealthiest taxpayers, people earning more than $200,000 a year. So, in fact, there seems to be a disparity there. There's also, sadly, no apparent investments likely to address the desperate need for public and social housing. So poverty is far from fixed, and we sincerely hope that in practice the Prime Minister is true to his word, and this is really the first in a series of investments that are genuinely aimed at lifting our most vulnerable South Australians out of poverty. And we're going to say 6.5. Thanks.
6.5, Ross,
Okay.
Thank you for that. And just to round out the conversation, Patricia Sparrow is the Australian CEO of the Council on the Ageing, an organisation we've enjoyed a great relationship with and spoken to a number of times ahead of the budget. Patricia, good morning to you. How did you see the announcement yesterday?
Good morning. We were really pleased with the announcement last night to see that there was going to be relief on the pressures that many older Australians are experiencing because of the cost of living. So they're getting lots of direct benefits financially, which is really important given what the cost of living pressures have been. There's energy relief of up to $500 a year, cheaper medicines. We were particularly pleased to see the focus on bulk billing. Lots of older people have been telling us they're not going to the doctors even when they need to because they can't afford the co-payment. So we're really pleased to see that people will be able to go to the doctors when they need to, and they should. We've also pleased to see the assistance for job seeker, including additional funding if you're over 55 years old and been long-term unemployed. And of that, 55% of those people are older women who are the fastest growing group at risk of homelessness. So we think that's well targeted. The reforms to Medicare more generally are important. Older people often have, complex needs and need assistance through Medicare, and this idea of wrapping around and assisting people who've got complex needs will be really good. Aged care, they're continuing with the reforms, quite substantial action taken, particularly the long overdue increase for aged care workers, again, predominantly females, and shoring up that we've got nursing in residential aged care facilities and a guaranteed 215 care minutes. And we know we know that older people are saying it's having enough staff and well-trained staff that makes a difference in quality of care. We were disappointed that the release of the new support at home program has been put off again for another 12 months, but at least government's doing some foundational work to keep that going in terms of sorting out the assessment system and to make it easier for someone to get access to aged care when they need it. So overall, there was quite a lot of positive news for older Australians last night, and particularly, I think, older women.
And what would you give it out of 10, Patricia?
I'm going to stick with that it was positive for older people and particularly older women.
Come on, give us a number. Everyone else has.
It's unscientific. I'm sticking with positive.
All right. Well, excluding Patricia's numerical ambivalence at the end, I calculated them all up. I think it averages out to about 6, which is a P1 pass.
6 out of 10 from Susan Stone from UniSA on the economics question about managing inflation. The civil contractors gave it 5 out of 10. Business SA 6 out of 10. SACOS 6.5 out of 10. We got a good tweet, I think. Gillian Fennell sent us a tweet. And I think this is an excellent suggestion. She says, next time add primary producers SA to your list. We get a view from the country and how these sort of affect a hugely important industry in South Australia as well. And Gillian, we will certainly do that next time round.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that. And thank you everyone who participated in our 5AA Breakfast post-budget roundtable. Now, while that was all going on, Michael called us because there is a 3-car pile-up on the Northern Expressway. For those heading south, just before you get to the Port River Expressway, traffic banked up for about 3 k's. 2 lanes are currently blocked, so that's going to cause huge issues there this morning. 5AA News is coming up in just a moment. We'll get to some more of your feedback on the Duttons text line via the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream and over the open line on 8223 0000. Also, the host of Channel 7 Sunrise program, David Kosh, not too far away.
Gents, have you got the urge to pee again, even though you only just went? Caruso's Pee Less for Men relieves that annoying gotta pee again feeling and helps support healthy bladder and prostate function. So, if your need to pee all the time is getting in the way of enjoying life, try Caruso's Pee Less today. Caruso's Pee Less is made in Australia, comes with a money-back guarantee and is available from leading pharmacies and health food stores. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
Will retirement living suit you? Get a sneak peek of the lifestyle you could enjoy at FIVEAA's free open home events across Adelaide from the 20th to the 27th of May. Come along with family and friends to explore our communities, inspect our display homes, discover our social activities and chat with our friendly team. Take the first step and search FIVEAA Open Home today. You can look forward to a very warm welcome. RSVP is essential and COVID-safe practices apply.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy, 18 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Melasha.
Looking for the perfect winter exercise? Physio Extra offers clinical Pilates at 6 locations. PhysioExtra.com.
The opposition says the federal budget will make the cost of living crisis worse. The government has delivered a $4 billion surplus, the first in 15 years. The job seeker rate will rise, along with rent assistance, energy subsidies and a boost for Medicare. Shadow Finance Minister Jane Hume says there's no doubt the extra spending will drive up inflation.
We calculated out just in the budget lockup, and there's a bit of a thumbnail analysis, that the average family with a mortgage of around $750,000 or so will probably be around $25,000 worse off this year than they were before Labor were elected.
Treasurer Stephen Mulligan says there were wins for SA in the economic blueprint.
There's more money for the AUKUS commitments. That will mean that we can start training young South Australians to take their part in building Australia's first nuclear submarines.
Consumer complaints about internet services have increased in the first quarter of the year. They're 8.5% higher than in late 2022. Telecommunications Industry Ombudsman Cynthia Gabert says complaints about the NBN have jumped 13%.
Some substantial increases about getting connected to an NBN service, problems with a bill and service quality issues such as dropouts and slow data speeds.
Lawyers for Donald Trump say they'll be appealing a court ruling which has found the former president sexually abused a writer. A New York court has ordered Mr Trump pay $5 million in damages to E. Jean Carroll for abusing her in a department store dressing room in 1996. His lawyer, Joe Tacopina, says he shouldn't be held liable.
It was strange. Part of me was obviously very happy that Donald Trump was not branded a rapist. I didn't think there should be any liability findings, so we'll pursue it. We'll pursue it.
Protests have erupted in Pakistani cities following the arrest of former Prime Minister Imran Khan in connection with a corruption case. Police using water guns and tear gas on his supporters. There are fears his arrest may cause further unrest in the country. In a video message, Mr Khan says he's ready for what is to come.
अगर किसी के पास वारंट है
If someone has warrants to arrest me, then come to me with warrants. My lawyers will be there. I am ready to go to jail myself. Making a scene would be wasting resources, as if the country's big criminal was coming.
Now turning to 5AA's sport.
It's nearly tax time. Act now for immediate delivery on Mitsubishi Triton from Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
And it's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Port Adelaide forward Junior Rioli will finally head to the tribunal tonight for a charge of striking Essendon defender Jordan Ridley after his case was pushed back because of a busy schedule. Rioli was directed straight to the tribunal by the match review officer and is expected to receive maybe 2 or 3 weeks for the incident. Meantime, the Power is bracing for a hostile reception for midfielder Jason Horne-Francis when he fronts his old team North Melbourne in Tasmania on Saturday. Assistant coach Chad Corns telling Rowie and Timmy G they'll provide plenty of support for the 19-year-old who he says has contributed enormously this season.
The possessions he gets, what he does on the field, just stands out so much. Just watching up in the box, I thought he would have been a 25, 30 possession game on the weekend, but it wasn't. It's just the possessions he has and how powerful he is and the impact he has on games is huge.
Yeah, it certainly is. Let's go to soccer. Manchester City has played out a 1-1 draw against Real Madrid in the opening leg of their semi-final tie in the Champions League. City found themselves a goal down at half-time after a stunning goal from the home side, but the visitors hit back with an absolute peach of their own.
De Bruyne strike! Oh, that's wonderful! He got all of that! Kevin De Bruyne!
Audio there thanks to Stan Sport. The return leg to be played in Manchester next week. And the Mumbai Indians have beaten the Royal Challengers Bangalore by 6 wickets in the IPL. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Worried about cheap insurance? Who offers great value cover you won't regret? Amy does. Before buying insurance issued by Amy, read the PDS and TMD at amy.com.au and consider whether it's right for you.
At Dry Creek, got a 2-car crash on the north-south motorway heading inbound. It's before the Wingfield interchange. Wingfield, 2-car smash on Grand Junction Road at Gallipoli Drive. Croydon got a smash on the north-south motorway near Hawker Terrace, and we're busy at the moment South Road at Edwardstown. Cameras today, Fraser Avenue, Happy Valley, and Greenhill Road at Burnside. Skoda's 777 is their complimentary 7-year servicing and 7-year roadside assist with their included 7-year warranty. Curious? Visit your Skoda dealer today. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
See any issue firsthand with AutoCam. Real-time video, direct to you from your Automaster's technician.
A bit of a partly cloudy day on the way with a top of 18. Mostly sunny tomorrow though, 20. Friday a shower or two, 19. Right now it's 13 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, we have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people, helping to make life easy for property investors and the tenants of their properties. Everyone is treated with integrity and respect. That's the Lynn Andrews way. For commercial and residential property management, we are here to help. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
Now, for the freshest and finest seafood that helps you save money, do what I do, choose Samtas Seafoods.
Where else can you get 4 kilos of premium seafood for just $60? Samtas Seafoods offers snap frozen kilo packs of your favourites like fillets of snapper, barramundi, flathead, Tassie salmon and garfish.
That's right. This week, enjoy fresh South Aussie specials like local garfish or flathead fillets. They're already crumbed, ready for the frying pan, just $39.99 a kilo. Wow. Then Spencer Gulf calamari from $19.99 a kilo, and freshly cooked extra large king prawns for Mother's Day, just $35.99 a kilo.
There's also barbecue ready marinated shazliks, freshly opened daily, West Coast oysters, and this week a special deal on ready to eat hot smoked Atlantic salmon 500 gram packs for just $7.99 each.
Samtas Seafoods at Richmond Road, Richmond, open 7 days including Sundays 10 till 4.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will.
shortly. The host of Channel 7 Sunrise programs interviewed the Prime Minister this morning, and we go to him on a whole host of issues, economic. So looking forward to his take on the budget. He was just in the UK for the coronation as well. So looking forward to our chat with him. It's coming up very, very shortly. Lots of budget discussion on the program this morning. There has been another big breaking international news story, though, that comes to us from the United States, where a jury found Donald Trump liable for sexually abusing and defaming E. Jean Carroll, the former gossip column writer. She has been awarded some $5 million. He was sued, that is the former US President, Donald Trump, for battery, and alleging his conduct qualified as a sexual offence because it was rape, sexual abuse or forcible touching. Now, the jury did not find that E. Jean Carroll proved rape. They did find that she proved Trump committed sexual abuse, and they provided damages as part of that $5 million for both the battery claim but also for the defamation that came thereafter.
With trademark bluff and bluster, Donald Trump has responded on his social media platform, Truth Social. Imagine this in his voice. It's written in all caps. I have absolutely no idea. I won't even try to do it. I have absolutely no idea who this woman is. This verdict is a disgrace, a continuation of the greatest witch hunt of all time, !
His former communications advisor, Sean Spicer, had a difficult time as this news story broke. He was on Sky News UK trying to put it all together.
Well, I'm hearing about it pretty much as you're reading it. So I think one of the things, again, I just emphasize I'm not a lawyer, but keep in mind that this is a civil proceeding, not a criminal proceeding. So the standards are very different in our criminal justice system. And I think that is a very big difference, that you don't have to have a preponderance of guilt in the civil realm as you do in the criminal. And so that is a big, big difference. In the criminal, you have to have a unanimous, and I think the civil is just a majority. So it's a very different standard. It is New York, which isn't exactly the friendliest of venues for President Trump. So again, I think I'm reading this as I'm listening to this and evaluating it as you're reading it out. It's never a good thing to have a verdict against you. I mean, let's be clear, especially of this nature. But I think when it came to the big charge that you're referring to, that would have probably not gone over very well on the campaign trail. And I think that's the bigger issue, is that optics do matter in politics. But I think if you're President Trump right now, you're probably resting easy when it came to the charge of rape would have stung a lot.
You reckon? Well, maybe not. I mean, let's not forget that in the midst of his campaign against Hillary Clinton, an actual genuine audio tape emerged of him saying that one of the good things about being rich is that you can physically grab women, and he went on to say exactly where you can grab them, and overwhelmingly the people of the United States went, yeah, cool.
And the latest polling
for him.
Would suggest, obviously, taking ahead of this judgment, though, that he is currently significantly ahead of the incumbent in US President Joe Biden.
See, what he succeeded in doing, and that crazy all caps tweet that I read out illustrates the point, is that whatever he is found guilty of in the eyes of his supporters is seen as part of the conspiracy. So it doesn't matter what it is. It's almost further evidence that he's innocent in their minds.
Absolutely. It's a continuation of the fake news strategy. He was able to discredit every bad thing that was ever said about him because he invented a turn of phrase that allowed you to easily brush it to the side.
How's this in happier news? Robert De Niro is a father for the 7th time at the age of 79.
Makes me feel better about being an old first-time father.
Well, mate, you're just getting started. This
Clearly.
Using the De Niro model, in 40 years' time, when we're doing the show together, at which point I'll be 93, we'll be coming in one
Won't
morning.
that be a listen?
Oh, geez, imagine all sorts of crazy stuff coming out of my mouth by then. Conceivably, pardon the pun, we'll be celebrating the happy news that you, at the age of 79, have just welcomed Rosie's 6th sibling.
79!
What sort of speech is he going to give at his 21st?
Well, it'll be his 100th.
Yeah.
They can do a joint celebration. I mean, if anyone can deliver the speech, it'll be De Niro.
You talking to me?
I wouldn't use that.
That's what he said to the midwife. You talking to me? There's nobody else here. You talking to me? Are you talking? We won't do the entire taxi driver soliloquy, but yeah. You know his oldest kid's 52?
That's an interesting brother-sister or brother-brother relationship, won't it be?
Yeah, like 3 generations apart. It's just
congratulations to him. It's hard to imagine.
How'd you be at like school pickup? You know, dropping them off at childcare and all that. You know, people think you're the grandfather, great grandfather.
Yeah. Grandparents' Day would be interesting.
Sadly, his parents won't be there.
No, they won't be. Dutton's text line. Someone asked the question: did I hear Amelia have a crack at you last night, Will? Oh yeah, this is getting out of hand. I'm now being trolled on live TV thanks to the people on this that either who lovingly contribute to this program in a way that they think making someone with silver fillings chew on alfoil is fun. Have a listen. This is Amelia on after the end of the news last night.
Oh, that looks like a brilliant day after Will. Some might have called a pea super this morning.
Some may have, Amelia. Some just may have. That is all the news to now.
Now, this is officially out of control.
Oh, this is excellent. Now, Will's being teased across multiple platforms. We're going to get the Tizer to do an article about it.
They do every third day. It's pea super, this, that, and the other thing. I'm just not being... I feel attacked. Now,
what about me? The other day, I was having a hit of golf with my son, Jim, at Flagstaff Hill, and on the way there, we popped into the Goodwood Bakery, and I picked up a couple of baguettes for us and got him a Diet Coke and got a Coke for myself. I thought I'd have the sugar hit, about to go and play 18 holes. But I walked in, I didn't realise Amelia was standing there with her daughter, and they were mid-parental dispute with her daughter going, "Mummy, I want a Coke, I want a Coke, I want a Coke, I want a Coke." And she said, no, we don't drink sugary drinks. We don't drink sugary drinks. Then she turned around, I'm standing there at her daughter's eye level, I'm holding 2 Cokes. And she looks and she goes, "Well, some people do. They're just silly." Like, oh dear.
Yes. Thank you for that, Amelia. It's good when we get.
I totally endorse the teasing.
Teased at both ends of the day.
We're going to move from teasing to booing in a minute. I think we should ask Koshy what he thinks about the booing issue in the AFL ahead of the Port v Kangaroos game.
All right. In the meantime, we're going to check the fuel situation. Find the cheapest fuel in an instant. Download the free MyRA app from your app store today. The cheap spots are these, and they are significantly cheap when you consider the range of prices out there. The OTR North East Road at Modbury is $1.60.5. That is exceptional. The United South Road Melrose Park $1.63.5. The OTR Churchill Road Kilburn is at $1.61.5. The cheapest diesel continues to be the Shell at Petters Crescent Regency Park $1.70.9. For your chance to win a $4 million grand prize, visit homelottery.com.au.
At Dry Creek, got a 2-car crash on the north-south motorway heading inbound. It's before the Wingfield interchange and we're seeing heavy delays inbound. At Wingfield, got a 2-car smash on Grand Junction Road at Gallipoli Drive, while at Croydon, a smash on the north-south motorway near Hawker Terrace. Busy at the moment, South Road at Edwardstown, very heavy Brighton Road at Brighton, with the camera Fraser Avenue at Happy Valley. Need some extra cash now? At Cash Converters, you can get cash on the spot in as little as 10 minutes. Head into your local Cash Converter store to find out more. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
On 5AA Mornings, we'll take a deep dive into the federal budget. What's in it for you? And TikTokers running amok in the most boring state ever. We'll have a look at that marketing ploy. I'm Matthew Pantelis. Join me from 9.
It's time to raise the bar. If you're organising an event, anything from a small meeting to a grand gala, you'll know there are many things to consider. So trust the experts at Adelaide Convention Centre to help you elevate your vision. With the support from our team at every stage, you'll be amazed at what can happen in turning each aspect into an unforgettable experience for both you and your guests. Contact our team and discover the magic to elevate your vision at Adelaide Convention Centre.
Some builders think a sloping block has limitations. When Beechwood Homes look at a sloping block, they think, the possibilities. Beechwood Homes know how to make the most of a sloping block. In fact, they specialise in them. Beechwood will design a home that works with the land you have, taking full advantage of every square metre. So if you're looking at a sloping block, go for it. Beechwood has your back. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide.
You've unpacked your winter wardrobe and dusted off the doona, but have you thought about rugging up your windows? Did you know that windows are responsible for up to 44% of heat loss in a room? That means those naked windows are costing you money.
Nobody wants a naked window. Well, if you want to fix yours, get into Arundel Blinds, because they can help you rug up your windows with great specials on custom-made curtains and the energy-efficient Duette shades. Duette shades. D-U-E-T-T-E shades. Right now, you can get 15% off all Luxaflex curtains and get prepared for winter.
Visit the state-of-the-art Arundel Blinds showroom on Goodwood Road and experience award-winning service along with an incredible range of curtains, internal and external blinds and shutters.
It's absolutely classy, their showroom. Visit the Arundel Blinds showroom on Goodwood Road or check out their great website, rundleblinds.com.au.
Bardsy here from Barbecue Adelaide Weber Stores. Are you having a killer feed for Mother's Day and need some inspiration? Well, come see me at Barbecue Adelaide Weber Stores for everything barbie, rubs, spices or just some advice. Or do the right thing and get your mum a brand new Weber or some Yeti gear for Mother's Day. So, for everything Barbie this Mother's Day, head down to Barbecue Adelaide Weber Stores, Jeffs Cross and Mile End, and prepare to get lit.
The all-new Amarok is finally here at Southern Volkswagen Ranella. The all-new Amarok is in stock and ready to test drive. Don't delay. Call Southern Volkswagen now and test drive today. Just 25 minutes from the CBD. Only at Southern Volkswagen. LVD 152780.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Test drive the Cherry Emoda 5 at Cherry Glen Osmond from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Go Cherry.
11 minutes to 9.
And they could never.
Morning, team.
Tell you what, mate, you're writing checks your body won't be out of cash at the moment. Coronation one day, and are you going to be at the footy on the weekend as well?
No, not down in Tasmania, unfortunately. So I
hard
think
to get to.
Yes, it is hard to get to with everything at the moment. But yeah, I had to come back to the budget. You know, for finance nerds like me, it's like the grand final. It's like the Melbourne Cup.
That's right. Well, we want to get your take on it, Koshy. We spoke to the Prime Minister in advance of the budget. You've spoken to him this morning. What's your key takeout from it?
My key takeout is we live in a bloody lucky country, let me tell you. With everything we've gone through, no recession on the horizon whatsoever, and we are blessed to have all of these resources that are bringing so much cash, iron ore and coal in particular, into this country that we can spend on cost of living payouts. We can extend our Medicare bulk billing. We have, you know, anytime you travel overseas, you realise what a health system, a great health system, universal health care that we have in this country compared with everyone else. So for me, it just shows I think, the good fortune of being in this country. Now, the amount of money that's being paid out, it won't add to inflation, I don't think, and most other economists agree. I think they've got a really good balance there. Tick of approval, no economic recession, which is good for Australian households. Unemployment only going up slightly, because for most of us, it's our job that is the most important thing in generating our wealth and paying the bills. So a good job market is really important. That looks as though it will continue. And I reckon my back of the envelope numbers, because they've still underestimated the impact of mining royalties, is that the budget will be pretty close to surplus next year, despite them saying it'll be, 20 billion deficit. I reckon it'll be pretty close to surplus again.
Well, if they keep having all these nice surprises that they've had for the past 12 months, then absolutely. Hey, Koshy, the issue of booing in AFL, particularly given the flack that poor old Lance Franklin attracted for no good reason at all in that game against Collingwood, and Collingwood, to their credit, current captain and coach, former coach and captain in Nathan Buckley, all coming out emphatically against what happened to Franklin. But your lad, Jason Horne-Francis has become a target of it, and not just from North Melbourne fans. Do you think we need to have a total reboot of the booing question in AFL, or is it just part of the game?
Look, it's part of any game, and people have the right to do it, but I think everyone's got to have a good look at themselves to really ask themselves, what am I booing for? Is it really that serious that I am going to actually boo, which is disrespectful to the person involved? What have they done to deserve the booing? Now, if you're a North Melbourne supporter, I can, probably understand if you want to boo. But other clubs, I'm just dumbfounded at why you would do it. And with Buddy, why would you do it? You're seeing one of the greatest AFL athletes of all time. It's a privilege to actually see him. Why the hell are you booing him? It's ridiculous. And then don't go around saying, how social media messes with your mind and the stress and strain that social media puts on you. The stress and emotional stress you're putting on these players by booing, individual players, maybe boo a team's performance. If it's not up to expectation and you do it to a team, maybe that's acceptable. But an individual, no, and for no reason, because in this day and age, it's just too much.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to speak to Jason about it, or did you know that people at the club have spoken to him about it?
Yeah, no, I've spoken to him in the change room after it, and sort of shown my support for him. And so, as a club, we're around you, mate.
Yeah.
Because the bloke's 19. Just imagine if that happens to your 19-year-old. And yes, people say it's my right going to pay to go to the footy. They're all highly paid individuals, and it's got nothing to do with it. They're human beings with the same frailties as everybody else.
No, well said. Good on you, Dave. Dave Kosh from Sunrise on 7. Man, he probably needs a bit of a kip after the last few days. We'll catch you up soon, Koshy. Thank you.
Good on you guys.
5 minutes to 9. I received an email from Patricia a short time ago for people in the Adelaide Hills that are concerned about the closure of the Stirling Hospital. There is a meeting tomorrow night at the RSL in Stirling. This is the Stirling Hospital that's slated to move to a healthcare hub at Mount Barker that has concerned some locals. Patricia is one of those and wants people to know that there is an outlet if they want to get along and have a chat about that. 6:30 p.m. tomorrow night at the RSL in Stirling. 5 to 9, it's time to go behind closed doors thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast, 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed...
5AA Weekend Breakfast with Mike Keelan and Angie McBride.
Yes, here we are, and Michael Keelan, you are here too.
Yes, Angie, I am.
It's coronation morning, and
yes.
We're very excited and wondering what you're doing for the coronation and what you'll be eating.
Yes, that's right. We want to know all about what sort of English food you'll be eating tonight.
That's right, and so will it be cucumber sandwiches?
What's in a cucumber sandwich?
Well, cucumber and creme fraiche, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know how to make a cucumber sandwich.
And what about scones? Would they be traditional for a coronation party?
I don't know. Do you have scones?
Not sure. We'll have to look into that.
What other English coronation food is there?
What about Cornish pasties? Would you have them?
I don't know.
So let us know what you're having. 82230000.
What about a leg of lamb?
I don't know. Would you make it into a crown?
No, because there's only one bone in a leg.
So what do? Slice it up like ribs and then make it round?
Well, no. Well, a crown roast, isn't it like chops?
I don't know.
But it looks like 10 or 12 little chops all standing up on end.
But isn't a leg of lamb
No, it's not a leg of lamb, it's a crown roast.
Gosh, it's great that we can give all this information to the listeners about what to eat for the coronation, isn't it?
It sure is.
Yeah, we should find out about that and all the other stuff we've been talking about.
That's a good idea. So when we're doing a segment on a certain thing, find out about the things we'll be talking about in the segment first.
That would be ideal, wouldn't it, Mark?
We are out of time. Matthew Pantelis is coming up, and we'll catch you tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock.
Hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles. National Tiles, famous once a year